What if the person you are trying so hard to become is merely a shadow of the person you have forgotten you are? What if the life you are chasing, with all its breathless urgency and endless demands, is a labyrinth designed to keep you from the simple truth of your own being? Pause for a moment. Feel the weight of that question. It hangs in the air of our modern world, a silent ghost in the machine of our ambitions. We are taught to build, to strive, to achieve, to become more successful, more disciplined, more enlightened. We collect accolades, relationships, and experiences like treasures, hoping they will fill a void we dare not name. We are actors who have studied our lines so diligently that we have forgotten our own voice. We wear our masks with such proficiency that we no longer remember the face beneath. This performance is exhausting. It is the deep, soul-level weariness that no amount of sleep can cure. It is the quiet hum of anxiety beneath the surface of a busy day. The subtle but persistent feeling that you are running a race you never signed up for, towards a finish line that keeps moving. It is the tragedy of being a stranger in your own home, a ghost in your own life. But let this moment, right now, be different. Let this space, and the sound of these words, be a sanctuary. Allow the cacophony of the world, with its relentless opinions and expectations, to fade into a distant hum. Bring your awareness to your own breath, that silent, faithful anchor to the present moment. Inhale and feel the stillness entering you. Exhale and feel the noise dissolving. We are not here to add another layer to the character you play. We are not here to give you another map to another destination. We are here to do something far more radical, far more revolutionary. We are here to begin the process of undoing. We are here to remember something ancient, something essential, something that was yours before the world told you who you should be. This is not a journey of becoming. It is a journey of remembering. It is the journey home. Before we can hear the whisper of the soul, we must first recognize the roar of the ego. It is the loudest voice in our inner world, the frantic narrator of our lives, the self-appointed king of our internal kingdom. And its primary function is not to lead you to truth, but to ensure its own survival. This ego is not you. It is a construct, a psychological shell built for protection, assembled piece by piece since your earliest days. It is made of your name, your history, your accomplishments, and your failures. It is built from the praise of your parents, the criticisms of your teachers, the expectations of your society, and the wounds you never fully healed. It is a mosaic of borrowed beliefs and second-hand opinions, a ghost woven from memory and fear. It is the part of you that constantly compares, that measures your worth against others, that lives in a perpetual state of either superiority or inferiority, never in the simple peace of being. It is the voice that says, "You are not enough," and in the next breath, "You are better than them." It is a creature of duality, a master of contradiction, and it thrives in the noise of a mind disconnected from its heart. This voice, this ego, feels like you. Its thoughts feel like your thoughts. Its fears feel like your own deepest terrors. It has been your constant companion for so long that the idea of separating from it feels like a kind of death. And in a way, it is. The ego perceives the journey to your higher self as an existential threat, a direct assault on its sovereignty. This is the source of the great inner conflict, the silent, grinding war waged within so many of us. There is a part of you, a deep, quiet knowing, that yearns for authenticity. It longs to drop the act, to speak its truth, to live from a place of unguarded love and freedom. It whispers of a life lived not in reaction to fear, but in alignment with purpose. This is the call of your soul, the faint, beautiful music from a distant shore. But as soon as that music reaches your ears, the ego sounds its alarms. It conjures terrifying scenarios. "If you let me go," it screams, "what will you be? You will be nothing. You will be weak, vulnerable, and alone. People will judge you. They will abandon you. You will fail. All that you have built will turn to dust. This identity, this name, this story, it is all you have. Without me, you are nobody. And so, the battle is joined. The desire to change is pitted against the terror of the unknown. The longing for expansion is chained to the comfort of the familiar cage. The ego is a masterful jailer. It convinces you that the bars of your prison are there to protect you from the dangers outside. It tells you that the predictable pain of your confinement is preferable to the unpredictable wilderness of true freedom. It feeds you a steady diet of anxiety and self-doubt to keep you weak, to keep you compliant. It points to the world and says, "See how dangerous it is? You need me to navigate it." It replays your past mistakes on a loop, not so you can learn, but so you will be too afraid to risk making new ones. It creates intricate dramas, casts you as the main character, sometimes the hero, often the victim, and keeps you so absorbed in the plot that you forget you are the one writing the script. You want to change, you want to grow, but every time you take a step towards the light, the ego pulls you back into the shadows, whispering that it's safer here, that it's smarter here, that it knows best. This internal tug-of-war is the source of our procrastination, our self-sabotage, our inability to make the very changes we know we need to make. It is the friction that drains our life force, leaving us exhausted and feeling stuck. But here is the ray of light that cuts through this manufactured storm. Here is the key that unlocks the door of the cage. You are not the voice in your head. You are the one who hears it. This is the single most important realization on the spiritual path. There is the ego, with its constant frantic monologue, and then there is you, the silent, unwavering awareness that witnesses it. The ego is the storm. You are the sky. The storm is loud, violent, and demands all of your attention. But it is a temporary event happening within the vast, unchanging expanse of the sky. The sky does not fight the storm. It does not argue with the thunder or try to reason with the wind. It simply holds the space for the storm to be what it is, knowing that it will eventually pass. Your awareness is that sky. The voice of the ego is not your master. It is an object appearing in your field of awareness. You have mistaken the weather for your own identity. Recognizing this is the beginning of freedom. It is the dawn of true self-mastery. The ego's power is not its own. It is the power you give it through your unquestioning belief. Its entire kingdom is built on your identification with it. The moment you take a step back and simply observe it, you begin to withdraw your power, and its magnificent kingdom is revealed for what it is, a house of cards. Its imposing throne is a rickety chair. Its royal pronouncements are the panicked ramblings of an insecure tyrant terrified of losing control. This is the king in tattered robes. From a distance, in the dim light of unconsciousness, he seems powerful, intimidating. But when you bring the light of your awareness to him, you see the truth. You see the fear in his eyes. You see that his crown is made of tin and his scepter is a broken stick. He is not a god to be obeyed, but a frightened child to be understood. So, how do we practice this? How do we step back and become the sky instead of the storm? We begin with the simple, profound act of observation. Right now, close your eyes if you can, or simply soften your gaze. Listen to the stream of thoughts flowing through your mind. Do not try to stop them. Do not judge them as good or bad, spiritual or unspiritual. Simply notice them. Ah, there is a thought about my to-do list. There is a thought of worry about the future. There is a memory from yesterday. There is a judgment about this very practice. Watch them as you would watch clouds drifting across the sky. They arise, they linger for a moment, and they dissolve. They are not you. They are events in your consciousness. As you do this, you will notice a space opening up, a quiet field behind the thoughts. That is the beginning of your connection to the witness, to the silent observer. Then you can introduce a powerful question. When a particularly loud or persistent thought pattern arises, an old story of victimhood or a wave of anxiety, ask this silently within yourself. Who is aware of this thought? Or who is noticing this feeling of anxiety? Don't look for a verbal answer. The question itself is the tool. It is designed to shift your identity from the thought to the awareness behind the thought. In that split second of inquiry, you are no longer the thought, you are the awareness of it. You have stepped out of the river of mental noise and are now sitting on the bank, watching it flow by. This is not about fighting the ego. To fight it is to give it exactly what it wants: a battle, a drama, more energy. Instead, you disarm it with your stillness. You dissolve it with your light. You love it into surrender by recognizing its function as a protector, while gently but firmly reclaiming your throne. The king in tattered robes cannot rule an empty room. When you, the true awareness, cease to be his subject, his reign is over. He may still wander the halls of your mind for a time, shouting his old orders out of habit, but his words will no longer have the power to command you, for you have remembered who you truly are. You are not the king, you are the entire kingdom. The ego builds its kingdom with bricks borrowed from other people's worlds. Its walls are mortared with the need for approval, and its towers are built to the specifications of 1,000 different architects, none of whom are you. We have learned to recognize the inner tyrant, the king in tattered robes. Now, we must look at the source of his power, the very material from which he constructs his illusory domain. We are born into a web of expectations, a world of pre-written scripts. Before we can even form our own thoughts, we are handed the thoughts of others. Before we can choose our own values, we are draped in the values of our family, our culture, our religion. The first bricks are laid by our caregivers. They love us, and in their love, they hand us their dreams, their fears, their unfinished business. They give us their definition of a good life, a successful career, a proper family. It is a gift given with the best of intentions, but it is a heavy one, for their map is not the territory of our soul. Then society adds its layers. The school system teaches us to conform, to color within the lines, to seek the gold star of external validation. The media bombards us with images of what we should look like, what we should own, how we should feel. It defines success as a number in a bank account, happiness as a fleeting purchase, and love as a romanticized ideal that rarely survives contact with reality. Our friends, our peers, they create their own local rule books of what is cool, what is acceptable, what is worthy. And so, without ever making a conscious choice, we begin to build a life that is not our own. We become a walking collection of other people's beliefs, a living embodiment of other people's desires. We major in a subject to please a parent, take a job for its prestige rather than its passion, stay in a relationship to avoid the judgment of being alone, and measure our weekends by how Instagrammable they are. We are living a second-hand life, furnished with borrowed ideals, and we wonder why it feels so hollow, so empty, so profoundly inauthentic. The weight of this is immense. It is a quiet, crushing burden that we carry everywhere we go, often without even realizing we are the ones carrying it. This brings us to the heart of a deep and painful inner conflict. As we grow, a new voice begins to emerge. It is the whisper of the soul we spoke of earlier, the authentic self, and it begins to question the script. It looks at the life we have built and asks, is this really me? Is this what I truly want? Is this all there is? This burgeoning desire for our own truth goes to war with the deep-seated fear of disappointing everyone whose bricks we use to build our identity. The battle between what I want and what they expect is one of the most agonizing struggles of the human experience. To choose your own path feels like an act of betrayal. A wave of guilt, thick and suffocating, washes over you at the very thought of it. How can you be so selfish? The ego screams, using the voices of those you love. After all they have done for you, you will break their hearts. You will be an outcast. You will be ungrateful. This guilt is the most powerful chain. It binds us to paths that are slowly killing our spirit, to jobs that drain our life force, and to relationships that diminish our light, all because the fear of causing disappointment in others feels more painful than the slow, steady disappointment of our own soul. We choose to be a good son, a good daughter, a good employee, a good citizen at the expense of being a true human being. We become martyrs to the expectations of others, and we carry our silent resentment like a secret cross. This is where you must summon a new kind of courage. This is the moment to pause on the long road, to feel the strain in your shoulders, and to understand the liberating, world-altering truth. You are not obligated to carry a single burden that is not yours to carry. Let that sink into the very marrow of your bones. The dreams of your parents are theirs. The anxieties of your society are theirs. The judgments of your friends are theirs. You can love them, you can respect them, you can honor them, but you are not required to live their lives or carry their emotional baggage. Your life is your own sacred territory. Your energy is your own sacred currency. This is the dawn of energetic sovereignty. It is the realization that setting a boundary is not an act of aggression, but an act of profound self-respect. Saying no to a request that violates your spirit is not selfish. It is an act of integrity. Choosing a path that brings you alive, even if no one else understands it, is not rebellious. It is your sacred duty to the soul that was gifted to you. The only approval that has any lasting value, the only validation that can truly fill you, is the quiet, unwavering nod of your own higher self. When you align with that, the opinions of the world become what they are. Distant noise, echoes from other people's worlds that have no jurisdiction in your own. To make this real, we must move from understanding to practice. Imagine that you are carrying a large, heavy backpack. You have been carrying it for so long you've forgotten it's even there. You just know that you are always tired, that every step is an effort. Now, in this moment, make the conscious decision to stop walking. Swing the backpack off your aching shoulders and set it on the ground before you. It feels strange, this lightness. Now, open it. Inside, you see not supplies for your journey, but a pile of heavy grey rocks of all shapes and sizes. This is the weight of other people's worlds. The first practical step is to begin examining these rocks, one by one. Pick one up, feel its weight. Ask, what is this? Whose expectation is this? Perhaps it is the rock of your father's desire for you to be a doctor. You can see his face, hear his voice, acknowledge it. Thank it for the love it represented, and then, with intention, put the rock down on the side of the road. It is not yours to carry. Pick up another. It is the rock of a societal belief that you must be married by a certain age. See it for what it is, a collective story, not a universal law. Put it down. One by one, you examine the rocks of guilt, of obligation, of shoulds and musts. With each rock you release, your own load becomes lighter. Your posture straightens. You can breathe more deeply. The second practice is the cultivation of a sacred no. This is not a no of anger or resentment, but a no that comes from a deep and centered yes to yourself. Start small. Say no to a social engagement that you know will drain you. Say no to taking on an extra task at work that is not your responsibility. Say no to an intrusive question. Each time you do this, you are not pushing someone away. You are drawing a clear, loving line around your own energy field. You are teaching yourself and the world how you deserve to be treated. Your no becomes a declaration of self-worth. It says, "My peace is valuable, my energy is finite, my path is my own." Finally, you must spend time alone, not the loneliness of distraction, scrolling through your phone, but intentional, unplugged solitude. It is in this quiet space, free from the constant influx of other people's opinions and energies, that your own signal can finally become clear. In the beginning, this silence might be filled with the echoes of those other voices, but if you sit with it long enough, a new voice will emerge from underneath the noise. It will be quiet, clear, and calm. It will be your voice. This is where you differentiate between what you have absorbed and what you truly believe. This is where you ask yourself the fundamental questions. What brings me joy? What makes me feel alive? What is my truth? The answers that arise in the sanctuary of solitude are the only bricks you need to begin building a new life. A life that is authentically, unapologetically, and magnificently your own. You set down the backpack of rocks, not with anger, but with gratitude for the lessons in strength it taught you, and you turn to face your own path, unburdened, light, and finally free. Once we put down the weight of others, once we release the heavy stones of their expectations from our pack, we are left with something that can feel far more terrifying. We are left with ourselves. We are left in a vast, echoing space, a profound stillness, and the immediate primal reaction for most of us is panic. We are a civilization addicted to noise, a people terrified of the quiet. We have engineered a world that is a grand conspiracy against stillness. From the moment we wake, to the glow of a screen, to the moment we fall asleep, to the drone of a podcast or television, we meticulously and unconsciously fill every available crack of silence with stimulation. We walk with earbuds as our armor, drive with the radio as our shield, and sit with our phones as our constant companions. Noise has become our comfort blanket, our proof of life, our defense against the great, gaping void we fear lies just beneath the surface of our awareness. Why this terror? Why this frantic scramble to fill the space? Because in the great stillness, there is nowhere left to hide. When the music stops, when the conversations end, when the endless stream of content ceases, what rises from the quiet depths is everything we have spent our lives running from. The unresolved grief from a decade-old loss, the simmering anger at an ancient betrayal, the gnawing regret for a path not taken, the uncomfortable truths about our lives begin to surface. The loveless relationship we tolerate, the soul-crushing job we cling to for security, the ways in which we have betrayed our own values. In the silence, the carefully constructed facade of the ego begins to crack. The busy, important character we play in our daily drama has no lines to say, no stage to perform on. And in the absence of that performance, the devastating questions arise. Who am I without my job? Who am I without my relationships? Who am I without my story? Who am I when nobody is watching? The ego knows that the great stillness is its mortal enemy. It is a creature of doing, of thinking, of planning, of worrying. It thrives on problems to solve and dramas to enact. In the simple, non-judgmental state of pure being, the ego has no function. It begins to dissolve, and this feels like death to the part of us that has identified with it for our entire lives. This is the source of the profound inner conflict that arises the moment you decide to just sit and be quiet. Your soul craves it. Your nervous system is crying out for a moment of peace, a respite from the relentless stimulation. You know, on a deep level, that you need this quiet to heal, to reconnect, to hear your own truth. But the moment you commit, the ego launches its counterinsurgency. An intense restlessness takes over your body. Suddenly, you have an overwhelming urge to check your email just one more time. You remember a chore you absolutely must do right this second. Your leg begins to twitch. Your mind, a moment ago blank, is now flooded with the most trivial, incessant chatter replaying conversations, planning grocery lists, worrying about things you have no control over. This is not random. This is a deliberate, defensive strategy. The ego is creating its own internal noise, a smokescreen of mental static to prevent you from entering the stillness where its power wanes. It will do anything to keep you in the noisy, familiar shallows, because it senses that in the silent depths, its reign as the king in tattered robes will come to an end. It will tell you that this is boring, that it's a waste of time, that you are failing at meditation because your mind isn't silent. It wants you to give up and plug back into the world of noise, where it feels safe and in control. Here is the truth that turns this terror into sacred opportunity. The emptiness you fear is not a void of nothingness. It is a plenum of potential. It is not an absence, but a presence. It is the silent, fertile ground from which all creation springs. The universe was born from a great silence. A masterpiece begins as a blank canvas. A symphony starts with a profound rest. You have been taught to fear the emptiness, but it is the very womb of your own becoming. It is a space of pure, undifferentiated energy, pregnant with every possibility. When you dare to enter it, you are not stepping into oblivion, you are stepping into the source code of reality itself. And it is only here, in this sacred hush, that the whisper of your higher self can finally be heard. The signal is always being broadcast, a constant, loving frequency of wisdom and guidance. But you have been living your life next to a screaming siren. The stillness is not about creating the signal, it is about turning off the siren so you can finally tune in to the broadcast that has been waiting for you all along. How then do we enter this space? How do we face this fear and learn to dive into the lake of silence? You begin with radical gentleness. You start so small that the ego barely registers it as a threat. Commit to just 5 minutes. Do not call it meditation if the word feels heavy with expectation. Call it doing nothing. Find a place where you can be undisturbed. Sit comfortably. You do not need a special posture. The only goal is to be with yourself without an agenda. Set a gentle timer, and for those 5 minutes, give yourself permission to simply be. Your mind will race. Your body may feel restless. That is okay. That is part of the process. Your task is not to wrestle the mind into submission. Your task is to simply notice. Notice the restlessness. Notice the thoughts. And then, gently, bring your attention to the silence itself. Listen not to the sounds, but to the space between the sounds. Feel the quality of the quiet in the room. Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it buzzing with energy? Treat the silence as a tangible thing, a presence you can rest in. Imagine you are standing at the edge of a deep, still lake at twilight. For your whole life, you have only splashed in the noisy, muddy shallows, afraid of the dark, unknown depths. The ego is the friend on the shore, shouting warnings, telling you that monsters lurk below, that you will drown in the darkness. The practice of sitting in stillness is the act of taking a slow, deep breath and allowing yourself to slip beneath the surface. At first, it is disorienting. The pressure changes. The familiar sounds of the shore fade away. This is the initial discomfort, the restlessness. But if you allow yourself to sink past that initial layer of turbulence, something magical happens. The water becomes clearer. The frantic energy of the surface gives way to a profound calm. Down here, in the heart of the lake, there is a deep, resonant peace. The light filters down in soft, ethereal rays, and you discover that there are no monsters. There are only sunken treasures, artifacts of your own soul long forgotten. There are pearls of insight, luminous veins of wisdom, the quiet, unshakable knowing of your own true nature. You are not drowning, you are returning to your native element. Each 5-minute practice is a dive into this lake. With each dive, you become more familiar with the territory, less afraid of the depths. You learn to trust the silence. You begin to crave it. You realize that this great stillness is not a void to be feared, but a sanctuary to be cherished. It is your home. It is the silent, beating heart of who you are. And in that stillness, we often see a reflection we have been taught to hate, the imperfect self. Once the noise of the world fades and the weight of others is set aside, we are left alone with the one judge we can never truly escape, the one whose standards are the most exacting and whose verdict is the most feared, ourselves. We gaze into the mirror of our own consciousness, and what we see is not the divine spark, but the flaw. We see the mistake we made yesterday, the awkward thing we said last week, the ways we fell short of our own ideals. This is the altar of perfectionism, a cruel and lonely temple where we worship an impossible God, and the daily sacrifice is our own peace of mind. Let us be clear. Perfectionism is not the noble pursuit of excellence. Excellence is born from love, love of the craft, love of the process, love of growth. Perfectionism, on the other hand, is born entirely from fear. It is a gilded cage built with the bars of, "I am not good enough." It is a heavy shield we carry, believing it will protect us from the judgment of others, when in reality, it only isolates us from our own humanity and from the grace of authentic connection. This fear has deep roots. It was planted in us as children, in moments when love and approval felt conditional upon our performance, the good grades, the athletic achievements, the quiet compliance. It was watered by a society that relentlessly parades flawless, filtered images before our eyes, creating an illusion that a perfect life, a perfect body, and a perfect family are not only attainable, but are the required price of admission for happiness and worth. The ego, in its desperate need for control and its terror of vulnerability, seizes upon this ideal. It creates a simple, brutal equation. Success equals perfection, imperfection equals failure, and utter worthlessness. There is no middle ground, no room for learning, no space for being human. And so we find ourselves trapped in its paralyzing grip. Perfectionism is the reason we procrastinate, because the fear of producing an imperfect result is so great that it is safer not to begin at all. It is the reason we obsessively tweak and polish a project long past the point of effectiveness, chasing a mythical standard that can never be met. It is the reason we can never truly celebrate our victories, because the inner critic is always there to point out the one tiny thing that could have been better. It is a state of perpetual dissatisfaction, a self-imposed exile from the joy of the present moment. It is the ultimate act of self-violence, masquerading as self-improvement. This creates an agonizing war within us. There is a part of your soul, your higher self, that knows your worth is inherent, radiant, and unconditional. It looks upon you with boundless compassion, seeing every flaw, every stumble, every scar not as a defect, but as part of the rich, complex tapestry of your unique existence. It loves you not in spite of your imperfections, but because of them. They are the texture of your being, the evidence of your courage, the proof that you have lived and risked and felt. This is the part of you that craves acceptance, that longs to exhale and simply be. But it is pitted against the tyrannical voice of the inner critic, the ego's loyal and ruthless enforcer. This critic is a phantom built from the combined voices of every disapproving parent, every critical teacher, and every societal standard you ever internalized. It sits in judgment, comparing your real, messy, beautiful life to an impossible airbrushed fantasy. It is relentless. Look at them, it whispers, pointing to a curated social media feed. They have it all figured out. Why are you so far behind? When you make a mistake, it doesn't offer comfort, it pounces. See? I knew you couldn't do it. You always mess things up. You are a failure. When you receive a compliment, it deflects it. They are just being nice. If they really knew you, they wouldn't say that. This constant internal barrage keeps you in a state of anxiety and shame. You are at war with the very person you are supposed to be a sanctuary for, and it is a battle you can never win because the enemy is a ghost you are constantly feeding with your own belief. The liberation from this war comes from a truth so simple, yet so profound it can shatter the foundations of the ego's prison. Your wholeness does not require your perfection. Read that again in the quiet of your mind. Your wholeness does not require your perfection. You are already whole. You are already worthy. The cracks you so desperately try to hide are not signs of your brokenness. They are the very places where the light gets in. They are the pathways for grace, for empathy, for growth. It is our shared imperfection that connects us, that allows us to see ourselves in one another. A flawless, untouchable facade inspires admiration from a distance, but a vulnerable, authentic human being inspires genuine connection. Your higher self is not waiting for you to become a polished, perfect statue. It is deeply in love with the messy, courageous, striving human you are right now. It does not need your perfection. It only craves your authenticity. To transform this understanding into a lived reality, we must learn the practice that is the direct antidote to the poison of the inner critic, self-compassion. This is not self-pity or self-indulgence. It is the act of turning your awareness inward with the same kindness, warmth, and understanding you would offer to a beloved friend who was struggling. The next time you make a mistake, the next time you feel the sting of your own perceived imperfection, I want you to perform a simple, sacred act. Stop. Resist the urge to fall into the familiar spiral of self-blame. Instead, gently place your hand over your heart. Feel its warmth. Feel the steady, faithful beat of your own life beneath your palm. Take one deep breath, and then, either silently or out loud, speak these words to yourself. This is a moment of suffering. It's okay. I am human. I am learning. In this simple act, you achieve three powerful things. First, you acknowledge the pain without drama. This is a moment of suffering. Second, you connect with your shared humanity, reminding yourself that to be human is to be imperfect. It's okay. I am human. Third, you reframe the experience not as a final verdict on your worth, but as part of a process. I am learning. This practice is a revolutionary act. It short-circuits the neural pathways of shame and begins to build new pathways of kindness and self-acceptance. In Japan, there is an ancient and beautiful art form called kintsugi. When a piece of pottery, a bowl, a cup, a vase is broken, it is not thrown away. Instead, it is painstakingly put back together by a master artisan who uses a special lacquer mixed with powdered gold, silver, or platinum. The result is a piece of pottery where the lines of fracture are not hidden but highlighted, celebrated, and transformed into shimmering veins of gold. The object is not merely repaired, it is reborn, more beautiful, more resilient, and more precious than it was before it was broken. This is the metaphor for our lives. We have been taught to see our cracks, our failures, our wounds, our traumas, our imperfections as sources of shame, things to be hidden or disguised. We spend our lives trying to pretend we are unbroken, mass-produced plates, smooth and interchangeable. But the path of the soul is the path of kintsugi. Life will break you. It is supposed to. Your heart will be broken. You will fail. You will fall. These are not signs that you are doing it wrong. They are signs that you are fully engaged. Self-compassion is the liquid gold. When you meet your own brokenness, not with harsh judgment, but with the warm, luminous lacquer of loving kindness, you do not just heal, you transform. The cracks become the most beautiful part of you. They tell the story of your resilience. They give you depth, character, and a unique beauty that no unbroken vessel can ever possess. So, shatter the mirror of perfection. It has only ever shown you a distorted and cruel reflection. Pick up the pieces of your true self, and with the gold of self-compassion, begin the sacred art of mending. Become the masterpiece, not in spite of your cracks, but because of them. To avoid the gaze of that imperfect mirror, to escape the searing judgment of the inner critic, we have invented 1,000 ingenious ways to flee from ourselves. We have become masters of the art of escape, and we pay dearly for it with the most valuable and finite resource we possess, the currency of our own attention. We live in an age of engineered distraction, a time when the most brilliant minds of a generation are dedicated not to solving the world's great problems, but to capturing and holding your focus for just one more second. Every scroll, every notification, every auto-playing video is a meticulously crafted hook designed to snag your consciousness and pull you away from the present moment, away from your inner world, away from yourself. Distraction is no longer just a minor annoyance. It is the dominant state of the modern mind. It is the anesthetic we reach for to numb the quiet ache of a life not fully lived, the low-grade anxiety of unfulfilled potential, and the discomfort of sitting with our own beautiful, broken humanity. Let us be honest about the nature of this escape. When you are feeling the sting of loneliness, what is your first impulse? To reach for your phone, to scroll through the curated highlight reels of other people's lives, a practice guaranteed to make you feel even more isolated. When you are faced with a challenging, important task that requires deep focus, what does your mind do? It suddenly craves the easy dopamine hit of checking the news, of watching a short, meaningless video, of refreshing your email for the 10th time in an hour. When you have a rare moment of unstructured time, a space that could be used for reflection, creativity, or simple rest, how do you fill it? With another episode of a series you are not even truly enjoying, with mindless online shopping for things you do not need, with a constant stream of information that leaves you feeling more agitated than informed. This is not a moral failing. It is a predictable response to a system designed to exploit our deepest psychological vulnerabilities. We are trading the sacred stillness required for healing and growth for the cheap, fleeting buzz of digital confetti. We are medicating our soul sickness with a poison that only deepens the disease, leaving us feeling scattered, drained, and profoundly disconnected from the very life we are supposedly living. This creates a painful and exhausting inner conflict. There is a part of you, the wise and ancient soul, that knows this is a losing game. It feels the hollowness after an hour of mindless scrolling. It feels the fragmentation of your focus, the erosion of your ability to think deeply or connect authentically. It feels the deep weariness of a mind that is perpetually overstimulated and a heart that is perpetually undernourished. This part of you longs for silence, for depth, for meaning. It yearns to read a book without checking your phone every 3 minutes. It yearns to have a conversation where you are fully present with the other person. It yearns to simply sit and watch the sunset without feeling the compulsive need to capture and post it. This is the part of you that recognizes the profound cost of your distraction, but it is at war with a powerful and conditioned adversary, the addicted mind. This mind, trained by algorithms and rewarded with dopamine, is terrified of being unplugged. It equates stillness with boredom, and boredom with a kind of death. What will I do if I am not consuming something? It panics. What will I have to think about? What will I have to feel? The comfort of the digital anesthetic, the predictable rhythm of the scroll, feels safer than the unpredictable territory of your own heart. And so you remain torn, exhausted by the very thing you use to seek relief, caught in a cycle of running from a pain that is only amplified by the running itself. Here is the truth that can sever the chains of this addiction. Your attention is the single most powerful and creative force you possess. It is more valuable than money, more precious than time, because it is the raw material from which your experience of life is woven. Where your attention goes, your energy flows, and what you energize, you bring into your reality. This is not a mystical platitude. It is a fundamental law of consciousness. If your attention is consistently placed on fear-based news, on social comparison, on trivial entertainment, you are actively using your divine creative power to build a world of anxiety, inadequacy, and superficiality for yourself. Your life becomes a reflection of the things to which you give your focus. To reclaim your attention is therefore the ultimate act of empowerment. It is to declare that you are no longer a passive consumer of a reality fed to you by algorithms, but the sovereign creator of your own experience. It is to take back the steering wheel of your consciousness and to decide with intention where you will direct the sacred beam of your awareness. When you consciously choose to place your attention on beauty, on gratitude, on learning, on genuine connection, on the stillness of your own being, you are not just changing your mood. You are fundamentally altering the very fabric of your life. You are voting for the world you want to inhabit, both internally and externally. To begin this reclamation, we must be both gentle and firm. We must become mindful guardians of our own focus. This does not mean retreating from the world and living in a cave. It means engaging with the world with radical intentionality. The first practical step is to create sacred spaces and times that are deliberately free from the intrusion of technology. Declare your bedroom a screen-free zone. The quality of your rest and the peace of your mind will transform when the last thing you see at night and the first thing you see in the morning is not the chaotic energy of the digital world, but the quiet of your own sanctuary. Create an unplugged window each day, even if it is only for 1 hour. During this time, the phone is put away, the television is off, the computer is asleep. What do you do instead? You re-engage with the analog world. You listen. What are the actual sounds of your home? The hum of the refrigerator, the creak of the floorboards, the wind outside your window. You look, gaze out the window, not to find something interesting, but to simply practice the art of seeing what is there. Notice the play of light on a wall, the intricate pattern of a leaf, the slow drift of a cloud. You feel. Pay full attention to a simple physical task. Make a cup of tea and feel the warmth of the mug. Smell the aroma. Taste it as if for the first time. This is not about adding more to your to-do list. It is about reclaiming the texture of your own life. Imagine your life force, your creative potential, is a mighty river. A healthy river has a strong, deep, central channel. It flows with power and purpose, carving canyons, nourishing landscapes, and making its inexorable way to the great ocean of consciousness. Now, imagine your distractions every notification, every mindless click, every diverted moment are tiny artificial canals being dug away from your main river. One canal is insignificant, but thousands of them, dug every single day, create a catastrophic effect. Your once powerful river is siphoned off into 1,000 shallow, muddy streams, losing its force, its clarity, its direction. It becomes a stagnant marsh, unable to support life or create anything of significance. This is what we have allowed to happen to our attention. We are suffering a death of our potential by 1,000 tiny cuts. The practice of reclaiming your attention is the work of consciously and deliberately damming up these thousands of tiny leaks. With every moment you choose presence over distraction, you are pouring that water back into your central channel. With every hour you spend unplugged, you are restoring the mighty flow. It may feel difficult at first, because the river has to wash away the silt and debris that have accumulated. But soon, you will feel the return of your own power, the clarity of your own thoughts, the deep, steady, unstoppable current of your true self, finally flowing once more with purpose and grace. But even in the loudest storm of distraction, Even in the depths of our flight from the imperfect self, a whisper persists. It is a quiet knowing, a subtle current beneath the turbulent waves of the thinking mind. It has been there your entire life, though you have often mistaken it for something else or ignored it altogether. This is the first whisper of truth, the voice of your intuition, the native language of your higher self. Our most crucial work on this journey of remembering is to learn to distinguish this sacred whisper from the deafening roar of fear. For within us, there are two primary voices, two guides offering conflicting directions. To choose the right one is to choose your path, to choose your life. We must become connoisseurs of our own inner silence, able to discern the signal from the noise. First, let us understand the voice we know so well, the voice of the ego, which is the voice of fear. This voice is loud, it is frantic and demanding. It often speaks to you in a tone of harsh urgency, as if every minor issue were a life or death crisis. It is the voice of anxiety, spinning worst-case scenarios and replaying past failures. It is deeply rooted in the past and pathologically obsessed with the future, but it is never at peace in the present. Its language is complex and analytical. It presents its case with a flurry of logical-sounding arguments, lists of pros and cons, and 1,000 what-ifs. It will tell you all the rational reasons why you must stay in the job you hate, why you cannot trust that new person, why your creative dream is impractical and foolish. It speaks in absolutes and generalizations. You always mess this up. You will never be good enough. Its energy is one of contraction. When you listen to the voice of fear, your body responds. Your shoulders tense, your jaw clenches, your stomach tightens, your breath becomes shallow. It feels heavy, constricting, and draining. It is the voice of the king in tattered robes, shouting commands to maintain his crumbling kingdom, terrified of any change that might threaten his control. Now, let us turn our attention to the other voice, the whisper of truth. The voice of your intuition is utterly different in its quality and texture. First and foremost, it is quiet. It does not argue, debate, or try to convince you. It does not need to, for it speaks from a place of knowing, not of opinion. It often arises as a simple, clear, and calm statement. It can come as a single word: go, stay, wait, listen. It can come as a gut feeling, that unmistakable sense in the pit of your stomach that something is right or wrong, long before your logical mind can explain why. It can come as a sudden insight, an aha moment that lands with a feeling of profound resonance and peace. The energy of this voice is expansive. When you receive a genuine intuitive hit, even if the guidance is difficult or challenging, your body feels a sense of rightness, of opening, of relief. Your breath deepens, your shoulders relax. There is a feeling of lightness, of clarity. This voice is not emotional in the way fear is. It is calm and neutral, or imbued with a quiet, unconditional love. It is not invested in drama. It simply states the truth as it is, and then falls silent, trusting you to listen. It is the voice of the vast, silent sky, not the voice of the temporary, turbulent storm. The great inner conflict, the reason for so much of our confusion and indecision, is that we have been conditioned to trust the loud voice of fear and to dismiss the quiet whisper of truth. We have been taught that being rational and practical, the domain of the ego, is a sign of maturity, while trusting our gut feelings is naive, childish, or irresponsible. And so, a battle rages. Your intuition whispers, "This relationship has served its purpose. It is time to move on." The voice is calm, sad, but clear. Immediately, the ego launches its attack. "Are you crazy? You'll be alone forever. What about all the time you've invested? What will your families say? The dating world is a nightmare. You're not strong enough to be on your own." Your intuition whispers, "Share that piece of art you created." The voice is gentle, a quiet nudge. The ego screams back, "Don't you dare. People will laugh at you. They'll say it's terrible. Who do you think you are to call yourself an artist? You'll be judged and rejected. Keep it hidden. It's safer." We are caught in this crossfire, paralyzed. We mistake the ego's loud, anxious reasoning for wisdom, and we dismiss the soul's quiet, steady knowing as a foolish fantasy. We choose the familiar prison of logic over the terrifying freedom of our own truth. The turning point comes when you realize this. Your intuition is the compass of your soul. It is your direct, built-in guidance system, calibrated to the unique frequency of your highest good. It has never been wrong. There have been countless times in your life when you had a feeling about something, ignored it because it wasn't logical, and later found yourself saying, "I knew it. I should have listened to my gut." That gut feeling was your higher self trying to guide you. It is not some mystical, unreliable force. It is a highly intelligent form of perception that processes millions of bits of data and energy that your conscious mind cannot. The key to hearing it more clearly is not to try harder to listen, but to get quieter. The work you have been doing observing the ego without judgment, reclaiming your attention from distraction, sitting in the stillness is the very practice of cleaning the receiver. You are lowering the volume on the static of the mind so that you can finally hear the clear, steady signal that has been broadcasting all along. To trust this voice is the ultimate act of faith in yourself. It is a declaration that you are your own wisest authority. To bring this out of the realm of theory and into your lived experience, you can use a simple, powerful practice. When you are faced with a choice or a decision, move the process out of your head and into your body. Find a quiet moment. Take a few deep breaths to center yourself. Now, close your eyes and bring to mind the first option. Option A. Don't just think about it. Try to embody it. Imagine you have already made this choice. See yourself living this reality 1 week from now, 1 month from now. As you hold this scenario in your mind, bring your awareness fully into your body. Scan it from head to toe. What do you feel? Is there a sense of expansion in your chest, a lightness, an openness? Does it feel peaceful, exciting, or resonant? Or do you feel a sense of contraction, a tightness in your throat or stomach, a feeling of dread, heaviness, or resistance? Be honest. There is no right or wrong answer. You are simply gathering data. Then, let that scenario go completely. Shake it off. Take another deep breath, releasing it entirely. Now, bring to mind option B. Once again, embody it fully. Live in it for a moment in your imagination. And again, bring your awareness into the subtle sensations of your physical body. How does this choice feel? Does it create a feeling of constriction or expansion, heaviness or lightness, dread or peace? The body does not lie. The feeling of expansion, openness, and peace is your intuition's yes. The feeling of contraction, tightness, and dread is your intuition's no. It is that simple. Your mind can rationalize anything, but your body holds the deeper truth. Imagine your inner voice, your intuition, is a small, steady flame burning in the center of your being. The world around you, with all its noise and distraction, and your own mind, with all its fear and doubt, is a raging storm. The wind howls, the rain lashes down, and it seems impossible that such a tiny flame could survive. The ego's strategy is to try to fight the storm, to argue with the wind, to stop the rain, which is futile and exhausting. The way of the soul is different. It does not fight the storm. It simply turns inward and cups its hands around the flame. This simple, gentle act of protection creates a small sanctuary of stillness. It shields the flame from the worst of the gale. This cupping of the hands is your practice. It is your meditation. It is your moments of silence. It is your conscious choice to turn away from the noise and honor the whisper. You are not trying to turn the flame into a bonfire. You are simply protecting its gentle, steady light, because that one small flame, shielded by your devotion and your attention, provides just enough light to see the very next step on your path. And that is all you ever need. Often, that whisper becomes clearest in our darkest moments, for pain is a profound teacher. It is a messenger that arrives when all other forms of communication have failed. In a world dedicated to comfort, pleasure, and the relentless avoidance of discomfort, we have come to see pain as an enemy. We see it as a malfunction, an error in the script of our lives, a sign that something has gone terribly wrong. Our immediate instinct is to silence it, to numb it, to distract ourselves from it, to wage war against it. But what if pain is not the enemy? What if it is a sacred invitation, a doorway to a deeper level of your own being? What if it is the very force that is meant to crack you open, to break down the fortress of the ego, so that the light of your true self can finally shine through? To embark on the journey of remembering is to fundamentally change your relationship with pain, to learn the divine and courageous art of alchemy. Let us first draw a crucial distinction, the difference between pain and suffering. Pain is the raw, clean, unavoidable, energetic reality of life. It is the sharp pang of loss, the sting of rejection, the ache of disappointment. It is a direct, unfiltered sensation. Suffering, however, is the complex web of mental and emotional resistance we weave around that initial pain. Suffering is the story we tell ourselves about the pain. It is the why me. It is the endless loop of blame, the narrative of victimhood, the fear that this feeling will last forever. Pain is the initial grain of sand that enters the oyster. Suffering is the oyster's frantic, inflamed reaction to the intrusion. We cannot always control the arrival of pain, for it is an inevitable part of the human experience. But the amount of suffering we create is entirely within our power to change. The spiritual path is not about creating a life free from pain. It is about learning to experience pain without adding the heavy, unnecessary layer of suffering. It is about learning to let the grain of sand be what it is, without fighting it, so that a different process, a process of transformation, can begin. Our instinct for avoidance is primal and powerful. When emotional pain arises, the entire system goes on high alert. The ego perceives the raw vulnerability of pain as a threat to its survival. It immediately deploys its arsenal of defenses. It may project the pain outward, finding someone or something to blame, creating an external enemy to distract from the internal reality. It may drive you toward your addiction of choice, the endless scroll, the bottle, the shopping cart, the workaholism, anything to create a numbing buffer between your awareness and the raw sensation. It may retreat into intellectualization, analyzing the pain from a safe distance, dissecting its causes and effects without ever truly letting itself feel it. This is the great conflict, the soul's deep need to feel, process, and integrate the painful experience in order to heal and grow, pitted against the ego's desperate, instinctual drive to run, hide, and deny. The soul whispers, "Stay, be with this. There is medicine here." The ego screams, "Run, this will destroy you. Numb it now before it consumes you." This inner battle is where our deepest wounds become trapped, stored in the body as chronic tension, anxiety, and depression, because we have never had the courage to simply stop running, turn around, and face what is chasing us. This is the moment for a radical shift in perspective, for the core message of the alchemist. Do not waste your pain. Treat it not as a curse, but as a sacred and potent fuel. Pain is the great awakener. It is the fire that burns away all that is not essential. It is the pressure that transforms coal into diamond. It is the chisel that carves the marble of your character, revealing the masterpiece within. A life without pain would be a life without depth, without compassion, without resilience, Without wisdom, you would be a smooth, unweathered stone, pristine but shallow. It is the storms that give the oak tree its deep roots. It is the crushing tectonic forces that create the majestic mountains. Your pain is what carves you out, creating the capacity within you to hold more joy, more love, more life. Each heartbreak expands your ability to love. Each failure teaches you a resilience you could never learn from success. Each dark night of the soul clears the way for a more brilliant dawn. The ego seeks to build a life that is a perfectly smooth, unblemished surface. The soul knows that true beauty lies in the depth, the texture, and the character carved by experience. To practice this alchemy, we must learn to turn toward our pain with a new kind of attention. This is not about wallowing in self-pity or getting lost in the dramatic story. It is a mindful, somatic, and deeply compassionate practice of being with what is. The next time a wave of emotional pain arises, grief, sadness, fear, anger, resist the immediate impulse to run. Find a quiet, safe space where you can be undisturbed for a few minutes. Take a deep breath, and as you exhale, make the conscious choice to stay present. Instead of getting lost in the thoughts about the feeling, bring your awareness directly to the feeling itself, as a pure sensation in your body. Where does this pain live? Is it a hollow ache in your solar plexus? A tight band around your chest? A heavy weight on your shoulders? A burning in your throat? Without judgment, simply locate it. Now, begin to breathe into that physical sensation. Imagine your breath is a warm, golden light, a carrier of pure compassion. With each inhalation, direct that light into the center of the tightness, the ache, the heaviness. You are not trying to force it to go away. You are not trying to fix it. You are simply bringing it your loving presence. You are offering it the one thing it has never had before: your unconditional, compassionate attention. You are signaling to this wounded part of yourself, I see you, I feel you, I am not afraid of you, I will not abandon you. Stay with this for as long as you can, just breathing into the sensation. Then, when you feel ready, you can gently ask the pain a question. Not an analytical why, but a compassionate inquiry. You might ask, what are you here to teach me? Or, what do you need from me right now? Or simply, what is the truth you hold? Then, be silent. Listen for the answer, not with your ears, but with your whole being. The answer may come as a sudden insight, a new feeling, a memory, or just a subtle shift in the energy. Trust whatever comes. This is the dialogue of healing. This is the work of transmutation. The humble oyster offers us the most perfect metaphor for this sacred process. A grain of sand, an irritant, a source of pain, invades its soft inner tissue. The oyster's existence is disturbed. It cannot eject the intruder. It is faced with a choice. It can become diseased, inflamed, and die, or it can begin a creative act of transformation. It chooses creation. It begins to secrete a substance called nacre, the luminous, iridescent material of its own being. Layer upon layer, with painstaking patience, it lovingly coats the sharp, irritating grain of sand. It does not destroy the source of the pain. It embraces it. It enfolds it in the most precious substance it has. Over a great deal of time, this alchemical process transforms the source of unending irritation into a luminous, perfect pearl. The wound becomes the heart of the treasure. The pain is not just healed, it is transfigured into an object of profound beauty and value. This is the promise and the potential of your own pain. Every hurt, every loss, every failure is a grain of sand. Your compassionate presence, your courage to stay, your willingness to feel this is your nacre. By turning toward your pain with love, you coat it with the substance of your soul, layer by layer, until what was once a source of suffering becomes a pearl of wisdom, a testament to your resilience, a unique and irreplaceable jewel in the crown of your remembered self. Do not waste the sand. You are here to make pearls. The way through pain, the crucible for the alchemy of the soul, is not by dwelling in the ghosts of the past or fearing the phantoms of the future, but by anchoring in the only place where reality exists, the only place you have any power, the only place where life is ever happening, the sacred, sovereign, present moment. We are a species that has become lost in time. Not clock time, which is a useful tool for practical affairs, but psychological time, which is the mind's compulsive need to escape the simple reality of what is. This escape is the root cause of nearly all human suffering. It is a collective disease of consciousness, and to awaken is to begin the process of healing from it. First, let us look at the burden of the past. For most of us, the past is not a neutral record of events. It is a living, breathing entity that we carry on our backs every single day. We are haunted by its ghosts. We carry the heavy chains of regret, replaying our mistakes in an endless loop, torturing ourselves with what we should have or could have done differently. We carry the bitter poison of resentment and grievances, keeping the wounds of old betrayals fresh by constantly picking at the scabs in our minds. We identify with our past stories so completely that they become our identity. You are not just a person who experienced failure, you become a failure. You are not just a person who was hurt, you become a victim. Your sense of self is a bundle of memories, a character assembled from yesterday's script. But the past does not exist. It has no reality outside of the memory traces stored in your mind, which you are actively reanimating with your attention right now. By living in the past, you are choosing to be governed by a ghost, allowing a shadow to dictate the substance of your present. Then there is the phantom of the future. If the past is a prison of regret, the future is a playground of anxiety. We project our consciousness into a time that has not yet happened and may never happen as we imagine it. We live in a state of perpetual what if. What if I lose my job? What if I get sick? What if they leave me? This future-oriented thinking generates a constant, low-grade hum of anxiety, a feeling of unease and stress that we have come to accept as normal. We also project our salvation onto the future. We tell ourselves, I will be happy when I get the promotion, when I find the perfect partner, when I retire, when I finally fix all my problems. We defer our peace and our joy to a later date, chasing a carrot that is always just out of reach. But the future never arrives. Life is only ever now. When the future does come, it comes in the form of the present moment. By constantly seeking a future state of completion, you are denying the perfection and completeness of the only life you ever have, this moment. You are treating the now as a mere stepping stone to a future moment, a means to an end. In doing so, you miss your entire life, which is always and only ever happening right here. This creates a deep inner conflict. The mind, conditioned for survival, is a magnificent tool for analysis and planning. It sees its primary function as learning from the past to secure a better future. It believes that if it just thinks hard enough, worries enough, and plans enough, it can control reality and keep you safe. Therefore, when the soul invites you to simply be present, the mind rebels. It sees presence as unproductive, irresponsible, even dangerous. You can't just sit here, it insists. You need to be figuring things out. You need a 5-year plan. You need to analyze what went wrong in your last relationship so you don't repeat it. There is a deep, habitual, addictive pull into the stream of thought, into the drama of psychological time. The peace of the present moment can feel unsettling to a mind that thrives on problems. The conflict is between the soul's deep yearning for the peace of being and the mind's addiction to the activity of doing and thinking. We resist the now because, in the stillness of the present, the ego's identity, which is built on past and future, begins to lose its grip. Here is the most liberating truth you may ever embrace. The past and future are illusions. They exist only as thought forms. Your power is not in the past. You cannot change it. Your power is not in the future. You cannot control it. Your entire life force, your creative power, your access to the divine intelligence of the universe exists exclusively in the now. The present moment is not just a fleeting slice of time that flashes by on its way from past to future. That is the mind's perception. The now is the timeless, formless dimension of consciousness itself. It is the eternal backdrop against which the movie of your life unfolds. It is the deep, silent stillness that holds all the noise. When you drop into the present moment, you are stepping out of the frantic stream of thought and into the vast ocean of being. You are aligning yourself with the creative power of life itself. True intelligence, creativity, and effective action do not arise from the anxious chatter of the mind, but from the stillness of presence. By surrendering to what is, right now, you allow a deeper intelligence to flow through you. So, how do we practice this? How do we reclaim our sovereignty from the tyranny of psychological time? We use simple, tangible anchors to pull our awareness out of the stream of thought and into the reality of the present. Your breath is your most faithful anchor. It is always with you, and it is always happening now. The moment you feel yourself lost in thought, worrying about the future, or ruminating on the past, bring your attention to the sensation of your breathing. Don't try to change it. Just feel the air entering your nostrils, filling your lungs, and then leaving your body. Follow one full breath from its beginning to its end. In that one conscious breath, you have left the world of thought and entered the world of reality. You have come home. Another powerful anchor is your own inner body. Your mind can travel to the past or future, but your body is always, unequivocally, in the present moment. Close your eyes for a moment and feel the life inside your hands. You don't have to think about it, just feel. Is there a subtle tingling, a warmth, a vibration, a sense of aliveness? This is the energy field of your body. Let your awareness move to your feet and feel the life in them. Then, feel the aliveness in your legs, your arms, your torso, until you can feel your entire inner body as a single, vibrant field of energy. This practice is a direct portal out of the mind and into being. You cannot be feeling the life in your body and be lost in anxious thought at the same time. Your senses are also gateways to the now. The mind gets lost in labels and judgments, but pure sense perception is always present. When you are caught in a thought storm, stop. Look around you and silently name 5 things you can see without judging or analyzing them. The blue cup, the light on the wall, the grain of the wood. Then, notice 4 things you can physically feel. The pressure of the chair against my back, the texture of my clothing, the air on my skin, the solidity of the floor beneath my feet. Listen for 3 things you can hear. Smell 2 things. Taste 1 thing. This simple practice shatters the trance of thinking and pulls you forcefully into the sensory reality of this moment. Imagine psychological time is a vast, stormy, and illusory ocean. The past is a murky depth filled with shipwrecks and ghosts. The future is a horizon of terrifying, cresting waves and dark clouds. You have spent your life believing you are a swimmer, lost in this ocean, thrashing frantically to stay afloat, exhausted and drowning in these phantom waters. The present moment is a solid, unshakable, and infinitely peaceful island that has always been right here, beneath you. You were never lost at sea. You were just so fixated on the imaginary storm that you forgot you were standing on solid ground. Every conscious breath you take, every moment you feel the life in your body, every time you anchor yourself in your senses, you are simply shifting your gaze from the phantom waves of thought and planting your feet firmly on the sacred ground of the island of now. You are not trying to get to the island. You are realizing you have never left it. This is your home. This is your power. This is your peace. And in this present moment, this sacred island of the now, we make a startling discovery. We realize how many uninvited guests we have been housing, how many ghosts from the past we are still carrying with us, allowing them to eat at our table and sleep in our beds. The clarity of the present illuminates the heavy, invisible burdens we have mistaken for parts of ourselves. We see the old resentments, the lingering heartbreaks, the bitter grievances, the stories of victimhood. And we are faced with one of the most challenging and liberating practices on the spiritual path, the sacred art of letting go. We have been taught to accumulate, to achieve, to hold on. We are rarely taught how to release. Yet, our capacity to receive new life, new joy, and new peace is directly proportional to our willingness to let go of that which no longer serves us. The psychology of clinging is deep and paradoxical. Why do we hold so tightly to the very things that cause us pain? Why do we endlessly replay a painful memory, preserving its sting with perfect fidelity? The first reason is that the ego craves the familiar, even if the familiar is agonizing. There is a strange, perverse comfort in our old wounds. We know their shape, their weight, their particular ache. They define us. The story of our suffering becomes the scaffolding of our identity. I am the person who was betrayed. I am the one who survived that terrible childhood. I am the one who was unfairly overlooked. These stories, while painful, give the ego a sense of solidity, a character to play. The thought of letting go of the story can trigger a profound identity crisis. If I am not my suffering, then who am I? The ego would rather be a known victim than an unknown mystery. To let go is to step into a void of not knowing, and this is terrifying to the part of us that needs to be in control. Furthermore, holding on to a grievance can feel like a form of power. In the courtroom of our minds, we are the judge, jury, and prosecutor. By constantly retrying the case against the person who wronged us, we feel a sense of moral superiority, of righteousness. We believe that by holding on to our anger, we are somehow holding the other person accountable. We think that forgiving them, or letting go of the story, would be to let them off the hook, to condone their behavior, to say that what they did was okay. So we hold on to the anger as a weapon, as a shield, as a testament to the injustice we endured. But this is a profound illusion. The only person being held prisoner by your resentment is you. The only one being poisoned by the bitterness is you. The other person is likely living their life, oblivious to the drama you are endlessly reenacting in your own consciousness. You are drinking poison and hoping the other person will die. This is the tragic futility of the grudge. This creates a powerful inner conflict. The soul, your higher self, longs for peace. It knows that your life force is a precious, finite resource, and it sees how much of that energy is being consumed by the black hole of past grievances. It whispers to you, let it go, set yourself free, your peace is more important than being right. But the ego, the wounded part of you, rebels. It screams, no, never. What they did was unforgivable. They don't deserve my forgiveness. If I let this go, I am weak. I am letting them win. This is the battle between the desire for freedom and the addiction to the drama of the past. It is the conflict between the wisdom that knows forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself and the pride that insists on holding on to pain as a badge of honor. To resolve this conflict, you must understand the true nature of letting go. Here is the core, liberating truth. Letting go is not about the other person. It has nothing to do with them. It is a profound act of self-love and energetic hygiene. You are not condoning their behavior. You are not forgetting what happened. You are not becoming a doormat. You are simply making a sovereign choice to no longer allow a past event to contaminate your present moment and poison your future. You are taking your hand out of the fire. The fire may have been set by someone else, but your hand is the one being burned, and you are the only one with the power to pull it out. Letting go is the moment you decide that your freedom is more important than your story. It is the moment you realize that the space in your heart is too sacred to be occupied by the ghosts of yesterday. You are not erasing the past. You are dissolving its emotional charge. You are reclaiming the vast amounts of energy that have been tied up in old wounds and making that energy available for creating the life you actually want to live right now. You are not your story. You are the sky, and the story was just a dark cloud that passed through. It is time to let it pass. To facilitate this profound internal shift, we can use a tangible external ritual. Words have power, and the physical act of writing and destroying can create a powerful catharsis, signaling to every level of your being that you are serious about this release. Find a time and a place where you will not be disturbed. Take a pen and paper and write a letter. Address it to the person, the institution, or the situation you are ready to let go of. And then, write without censorship. Pour all of it onto the page. All the rage, the disappointment, the hurt, the tears, the unspoken words. Tell them exactly how their actions made you feel. Do not soften it. Do not be polite. This letter is for your eyes only. Its purpose is to drain the poison out of your system and onto the page. Hold nothing back. When you feel you have expressed all the pain, shift your perspective. At the end of the letter, write about the lessons. Acknowledge, however painfully, how the experience served you. Did it make you stronger? Did it teach you about boundaries? Did it reveal a strength you never knew you had? Did it clarify what you truly value? Find the pearl within the grit. This is not about excusing their behavior, but about recognizing that even the most painful experiences can be compost for our growth. Finally, write a declaration of release, something clear and powerful. I have carried this story for long enough. I acknowledge the pain it has caused, and I honor the lessons it has taught me. And now, I release it. I release you. I take back my power, I reclaim my energy, and I set myself free. The final step is the ritual of transformation. Take the letter and, in a safe manner, burn it. As you watch the flames consume the paper, visualize the energetic cords that have bound you to this person or this past event being incinerated. See the smoke as the old, stagnant energy leaving your system. Feel the warmth of the fire as the return of your own life force. As the paper turns to ash, know that the story has been transmuted. It no longer has power over you. If burning is not possible, you can tear the letter into the tiniest possible pieces and either bury them in the earth, letting nature compost the old energy, or release them into a flowing body of water, letting the current carry them away forever. The act itself is a powerful statement to the universe and to your own subconscious that you are complete with this chapter. Imagine you have been clenching your fist around a sharp, jagged rock for years. You have held it so tightly and for so long that your muscles have cramped, your knuckles are white, and your palm is bleeding. You have forgotten what it feels like to have an open hand. You believe that holding this rock is what makes you strong, that it is your proof of the injustice you endured. Letting go is the process of deciding to uncurl your fingers one by one. It might be stiff. It will likely hurt at first, as blood flows back into the numb places. You might have to consciously pry your own fingers open, but as your hand finally opens, you see the truth. You were not protecting a treasure. You were simply clutching a source of pain. And now, your hand is open. The wound in your palm can finally be exposed to the air and begin to heal. An open hand can receive. It can create. It can offer a gentle touch. It is no longer a weapon or a prison. It is a vessel for life. This is the gift you give yourself when you master the sacred art of letting go. You open your hand and, in doing so, you open your heart. Letting go requires more than a wish. Releasing the ghosts of the past and the burdens of others is not a one-time event, but a continuous practice. It requires a mind that is not only willing, but able. And that ability is forged in the fires of a single, misunderstood, and often maligned quality: discipline. The word itself can make us flinch. We associate it with punishment, with harsh deprivation, with the rigid, joyless existence of a drill sergeant. We see it as a force of self-tyranny, a denial of freedom. But this is the ego's definition, a distorted reflection of a sacred truth. It is time to reclaim this word, to strip it of its baggage, and understand it for what it truly is on the spiritual path. True discipline is not punishment. It is the highest form of self-love. It is the conscious and devoted act of aligning your daily actions with your deepest intentions. It is the bridge you build, moment by moment, between the person you are and the person you are remembering yourself to be. The root of the word discipline is disciple. To be disciplined is simply to be a devoted disciple of your own higher self. It is choosing what your soul wants: long-term growth, peace, and fulfillment over what your ego craves: instant gratification, comfort, and the avoidance of discomfort. This choice is the epicenter of a constant inner conflict. Once you set a clear intention to meditate daily, to nourish your body, to create your art, to be more presenter, powerful, opposing force will immediately arise. This force is resistance. It is the inertia of your old self, the gravitational pull of your past habits. It is the voice that whispers, "Just 5 more minutes in bed. You're too tired today. Start tomorrow. One piece of cake won't hurt. What's the point? It's not working anyway." This resistance is cunning. It will use your own logic against you. It will justify laziness as self-care, and it will disguise fear as practicality. It will manifest as sudden fatigue, inexplicable boredom, or a flood of urgent distractions the moment you sit down to do the work. You must understand this. The arrival of resistance is not a sign that you are on the wrong path. It is a sign that you are on the right one. It is a confirmation that you are challenging the ego's comfortable status quo. Resistance is the dragon that guards the treasure of your potential. Its fiery breath is the discomfort you feel when choosing the harder right over the easier wrong. To grow, you must be willing to walk toward that fire, not away from it. Herein lies the luminous core of this practice. Discipline is the architecture of freedom. We think of freedom as the absence of all restraint, but that is a recipe for chaos, not liberation. A river without banks is not a mighty, free-flowing river. It is a stagnant, shapeless swamp. The banks of the river are its discipline. They give the water direction, power, and purpose. In the same way, the structure you create through your daily, disciplined habits gives your life force, your energy, direction, and power. It channels your potential into a creative force rather than letting it dissipate into the swamp of distraction and indecision. Every single time you honor your commitment, no matter how small, you are casting a vote for your future self. You are sending a powerful message to your own subconscious and to the universe that you believe you are worthy of the effort. Each act of discipline is a deposit into the bank account of your self-respect. And self-respect, built not on external validation but on the integrity of your own choices, is the absolute foundation of a remembered life. When you consistently keep the promises you make to yourself, you begin to trust yourself on a profound level. This self-trust is the bedrock upon which you can build a life of authentic power and peace. The ego, in its all-or-nothing fashion, often sets us up for failure in this domain. It convinces us that to be disciplined, we must change everything at once. Starting tomorrow, we will wake up at 5 a.m., meditate for an hour, run 10 miles, write 3 chapters of a book, and eat only kale. This grand heroic plan feels exciting for a day, but it is utterly unsustainable. It is a recipe for burnout and failure, which only reinforces the ego's narrative that I am just not a disciplined person. We must abandon this strategy of intensity and embrace the quiet, unstoppable power of consistency. The way to build the muscle of discipline is not by trying to lift an impossibly heavy weight once, but by lifting a manageable weight every single day. The practical application is this: choose one single habit, just one. Make it so small, so simple, that it feels too easy to fail. If you want to meditate, don't start with 30 minutes, start with 3. Sit down, close your eyes, and breathe for 180 seconds. The goal is not to achieve a state of perfect bliss. The goal is to show up and keep your appointment with yourself. If you want to write, don't face the pressure of a blank page for an hour. Commit to writing one single sentence. If you want to exercise, don't commit to a grueling workout. Commit to putting on your shoes and walking out the front door. The secret is that the victory is not in the outcome. It is in overcoming the initial moment of resistance. It is in the act of sitting down, the act of writing the one sentence, the act of walking out the door. That is where the entire battle is won. And once you have won that small battle consistently for a week, then another week, something magical happens. The muscle gets stronger. 3 minutes of meditation no longer feels like a chore. The single sentence often turns into a paragraph. The walk out the door becomes a walk around the block. You are building momentum. Success breeds success. You are proving to yourself, through action, not words, that you are a person who follows through. The consistency of the small act is infinitely more powerful than the intensity of the sporadic one. Imagine yourself as a blacksmith, and your soul's potential is a shapeless piece of raw iron. It is strong, but it has no form, no purpose. To transform it into a keen, resilient sword of clarity, you must become a master of your craft. First, you must heat the iron in the forge. The fire is the discomfort of resistance. You cannot shape the metal when it is cold and rigid. You must be willing to consciously step into the heat, to embrace the discomfort of doing what you know you must do. This willingness to feel the heat is the first act of courage. Next, you place the glowing iron on the anvil and you pick up your hammer. The hammer is your one, consistent, daily action. You do not try to shape the sword with a single mighty blow. That would shatter the metal. Instead, you begin a rhythmic, steady process. Clang, clang, clang. Each day you show up is another strike of the hammer. Each meditation, each sentence written, each promise kept is another blow. It doesn't look like much at first. The changes are imperceptible. But thousands of these small, intentional, consistent strikes begin to shape the metal. They draw out its length, thin its edge, give it a form that is both strong and graceful. This is not a violent process. It is a focused, loving, and deeply creative one. Between the heating and the hammering, the wise blacksmith also quenches the blade in water. This is the act of rest, of integration, of allowing the molecular structure of the steel to strengthen and settle. You cannot be in the fire constantly. Your discipline must include the discipline of rest, of stepping back, of allowing your system to recover and absorb the changes. Finally, after countless cycles of fire, hammer, and water, the work is complete. You hold in your hand not a lump of raw potential, but a finished blade, sharp, balanced, resilient, and beautiful. It is a reflection of your devotion. This is your new self, forged not by wishing, but by the disciplined, loving application of pressure over time. You did not fight the fire, you used it. You did not curse the hammer, you wielded it with purpose. You have become a disciple to your own transformation. As we build this discipline, as we practice the art of showing up for ourselves day after day, we begin to cultivate a deep and abiding self-trust. This trust allows us to rely less on the frantic calculations of the thinking mind and to open ourselves to a new form of guidance, a deeper and more ancient intelligence that speaks not in words, but in feelings, in pressures, in tensions, in the silent, unerring language of our own physical body. For centuries, we have been taught to mistrust the body. We have been conditioned to see it as a brute machine, a vessel of inconvenient appetites and primitive instincts that must be conquered, controlled, and dominated by the superior, rational mind. We have been taught to live our lives from the neck up, treating our body as little more than a taxi service for our brain. This is one of the most profound and damaging lies we have ever been told. Your body is not a machine. It is a vessel of immense wisdom, a living, breathing archive of every moment you have ever lived, and it is, without question, the most honest part of you. Your body is your subconscious mind made visible. It keeps a perfect and incorruptible score. While your thinking mind can forget, repress, deny, and rationalize, your body cannot. It remembers everything, every unexpressed sadness, every swallowed anger, every moment of terror is stored within your cellular structure, held in the patterns of your muscular tension and the rhythm of your breath. That chronic tightness in your jaw is the fossil record of 1,000 unspoken words of anger. The permanent slump in your shoulders is the physical weight of a grief you never allowed yourself to fully feel. The knot in your stomach is not just a digestive issue. It is the physical embodiment of a fear you live with every day. We think of our emotions as fleeting, ethereal things, but they are real, energetic events that must be processed through the body. When they are not allowed their natural expression, they do not simply vanish. They become trapped, lodged in our tissues, creating blockages in our energy field that eventually manifest as chronic pain, fatigue, and illness. Your body is constantly speaking to you, sending you signals about your inner state. The problem is not that your body is silent. The problem is that you have been taught to ignore its language. This creates a fundamental conflict, a deep schism between the thinking mind and the feeling body. We have become profoundly disembodied, alienated from our own physical truth. Your body, your inner compass, might be sending you a clear signal. You sit across from a potential business partner, and while your mind is impressed with their credentials and the logic of the deal, your gut clenches into a tight, cold knot. The body is screaming no. There is danger here. This is not in alignment. But what do? We dismiss it. The mind, the ego, says, "Don't be silly, that's just nerves. Look at the numbers, it makes perfect sense." We betray the body's wisdom for the mind's logic. You come home after a long day, feeling a bone-deep weariness, a physical exhaustion that is begging for rest and quiet. But the mind, driven by a feeling of not enough, insists, "You can't rest now. You have to answer those emails, do that chore, be productive." We override the body's desperate need for restoration with the mind's tyrannical ambition. This self-betrayal, repeated thousands of times, is a slow form of suicide. It severs the connection to our most reliable source of guidance and creates a state of internal dissonance that is the source of much of our anxiety and confusion. We walk through the world like ghosts, inhabiting our bodies without ever truly living inside them. Here is the truth that can call you home to yourself, that can heal this sacred rift. Your body does not lie, ever. Your thinking mind is a master of illusion. It can convince you of almost anything. It can justify self-destructive behaviors, rationalize poor choices, and construct elaborate stories to protect the ego. The body, however, has no agenda. It has no ego to protect. Its only interest is your survival, your well-being, your wholeness. It is a direct, honest, and unerring barometer of your truth in any given moment. Learning to listen to it, and more importantly, to trust it, is one of the most vital skills you can ever cultivate. Trusting the quiet, persistent wisdom of your body over the loud, frantic, and often deceptive arguments of your mind is a revolutionary act of self-reclamation. It is the beginning of an embodied life, a life lived not from the neck up, but from the soles of your feet to the crown of your head, guided by an intelligence that is deep, ancient, and utterly trustworthy. To begin this journey of re-inhabitation, we can use the foundational practice of the body scan. This is not about trying to relax or fix anything. It is simply an act of listening, of bringing your awareness to places it has not been in a very long time. Find a comfortable position, either sitting or lying down. Close your eyes and take a few deep breaths, allowing your body to soften. Now, bring the gentle spotlight of your attention all the way down to your feet. Do not think about your feet. Instead, feel them from the inside out. What sensations are present? You might notice warmth, coolness, tingling, numbness, a sense of pressure where they touch the floor. There is no right or wrong sensation. Whatever you feel is the truth of this moment. Simply notice it with a curious and non-judgmental awareness. After a minute or two, slowly begin to move that spotlight of awareness up your body. Feel into your ankles, your calves, your knees, your thighs. Just feel. You are not looking for anything special. You are simply populating the abandoned territory of yourself with your own loving presence. Move your awareness into your hips, your pelvis, your lower back. This is an area where many of us hold immense tension and stored emotion. Do not try to release it. Just notice it, acknowledge it, breathe into it. Let your awareness travel up your spine, across your abdomen and chest, feeling the gentle rise and fall with your breath. Bring your attention into your hands. Feel the life pulsating in your palms and fingertips. Move it up through your arms and into your shoulders. Notice any weight or tension you are carrying here. Let your awareness soften your neck and your jaw. Feel your lips, your nose, your eyes, your forehead. Finally, feel your entire body as one single, unified field of sensation, buzzing with a quiet aliveness. You have come home. This simple practice, done for even 10 minutes a day, will begin to dramatically increase your somatic intelligence. You will start to notice the body's subtler signals throughout your day, catching the first whisper of tension before it becomes a roar of pain. Imagine your body is a magnificent, exquisitely crafted harp. Your nervous system, your muscles, your fascia, and your organs are its finely tuned strings. Life itself, your experiences, your interactions, your emotions, the player whose fingers are constantly stroking, plucking, and sweeping across these strings. The resulting vibrations, the resonance, the tonesse, this is the music of your life, expressed as physical sensation. For most of our lives, we have been deaf to our own music. We have been so fixated on the noise in our heads that we have ignored the symphony of truth being played constantly through our entire being. When a string is plucked with the finger of fear, it produces a sharp, dissonant note of contraction in our stomach. When it is stroked by the hand of joy, it produces a warm, resonant hum of expansion in our chest. When the string of sadness is played, it creates a deep, melancholic vibrato that can bring tears to our eyes. The practice of listening to your body is the practice of becoming a connoisseur of your own inner music. It is not about trying to force the harp to only play happy tunes. A life of only major chords would be shallow and monotonous. It is about listening with reverence to whatever music is playing, knowing that it is an honest expression of your soul's journey. By listening, you learn. By listening, you heal. By listening, you are guided, note by beautiful, aching, glorious note, back to the truth of who you are. When we learn to listen to the body within, when we begin to trust the silent, unerring wisdom of its feelings and sensations, a profound shift occurs in our perception. we start to see the world without differently. The hard line we once drew between our inner world and the outer world begins to dissolve. We come to a startling and transformative realization. The universe is a mirror. The life you are experiencing is not a random series of events happening to you. It is a perfect, intelligent, and immediate reflection of what is happening within you. The people you meet, the circumstances you attract, the challenges that repeatedly arise, they are not accidental. They are feedback, they are messengers, they are echoes of your own inner state of being. This is the great and often misunderstood principle of reflection, the cosmic law that like attracts like. This is not a simple tool for material manifestation. It is a profound diagnostic tool for the soul. The universe does not give you what you want with your thinking mind. It gives you what you are with your entire being. It reflects your dominant vibrational frequency, which is composed of your deepest, often unconscious beliefs, your prevailing emotional state, and the energy you radiate. If you hold a deep core belief that you are unworthy of love, the universe, in its impersonal and flawless mirroring capacity, will bring you partners and friends who cannot see your worth, who treat you as secondary, who confirm your deepest fear. If you vibrate with a constant, low-grade frequency of lack and anxiety about money, you will find yourself in a reality that perpetually reflects scarcity back to you: the unexpected bill, the missed opportunity, the feeling of never having enough. This is not a punishment. The universe is not a vindictive God. It is a perfect, impartial mirror. It is simply and lovingly showing you what you believe about yourself. It is showing you your own reflection so that you can see yourself clearly. This realization presents a profound challenge to the ego. It is perhaps the most difficult truth to swallow on the spiritual path because it annihilates our most cherished story, the story of the victim. The ego loves to blame. It finds a strange, intoxicating power in pointing its finger at the world outside. My life is difficult because of my terrible boss. I am unhappy because of my unloving partner. I am struggling because of the state of the economy. It is their fault. This narrative of blame absolves us of responsibility. It makes us the righteous, innocent party suffering at the hands of a cruel and arbitrary world. It gives us a solid, if miserable, identity. To accept that the world is a mirror is to take back the finger you are pointing at the world and turn it gently toward yourself. It is to move from a state of blame to a state of radical responsibility. This is not self-blame, which is the ego's trick of turning responsibility into a stick to beat itself with. See, it's all my fault. I am a terrible person. Radical responsibility is the calm, mature, and empowering recognition that you are the source of your own experience. It is the shift from "life is happening to me" to the more accurate and powerful understanding that life is responding to me. This shift is terrifying because it means we have nowhere to hide. We can no longer find comfort in complaining. We can no longer bond with others over our shared victimhood. The entire foundation of the ego's worldview begins to crumble, and in that crumbling, true power is born. For here is the luminous, liberating truth at the heart of the mirror. You cannot change your reflection by polishing the mirror. If you do not like the face you see in the glass, you do not reach out and try to scrub the reflection. You do not yell at the mirror or demand that it show you something different. That would be insanity. You understand instantly that to change the reflection, you must change the object being reflected. You must smile. You must soften your own gaze. You must change yourself. This is the secret of all true and lasting transformation. To change your world, you do not fight the world. You do not struggle against the reflection. You turn your attention inward to the only place you have any real control, and you begin to change the source. You do the inner work. You heal the belief of unworthiness. You transmute the frequency of lack. You learn to love and approve of yourself. And as you change your inner reality, the mirror of the universe has no choice but to reflect that change back to you. The demanding boss may soften, or you may effortlessly find a new job. The dismissive partner may begin to see you in a new light, or you may find the strength to leave and attract someone who mirrors your newfound self-worth. The reflection must change because the source has changed. This is law. This is grace. This is the great promise that you are not a helpless pawn in the game of life, but its co-creator. To use this principle as a practical tool, you must learn to decode the reflections. You must learn to ask the mirror question. The next time you find yourself in a recurring, challenging situation, instead of falling into the default pattern of blame, I want you to pause, take a breath, and ask this powerful, transformative question. What inside of me is this situation reflecting? Or, what is the belief I hold that is drawing this experience to me? Let's say you continually attract partners who are emotionally unavailable. The ego's story is, all the good ones are taken, I have bad luck. The mirror question is, in what way am I emotionally unavailable to myself? What part of me believes I am not worthy of deep intimacy? Perhaps the reflection is showing you a wall you have built around your own heart. Let's say you have a boss who constantly micromanages and criticizes you. The ego's story is, my boss is a tyrant. The mirror question is, what part of me deeply criticizes myself and does not trust my own abilities? Perhaps the boss is simply mirroring the voice of your own inner critic. This practice is not about making excuses for other people's bad behavior. It is about recognizing that you are only ever triggered by something that has a corresponding resonance within you. The world is lovingly showing you the unhealed places, the limiting beliefs, the parts of yourself that are calling out for your attention. Every frustration is an invitation to look within. Every challenge is a clue. Imagine you are born into a vast, intricate and dazzling hall of mirrors. As a child, you do not know you are in a hall of mirrors. You think every reflection is a separate person, a different event. You run through the halls, bumping into reflections, being frightened by distorted images of yourself, falling in love with beautiful ones. You see an angry face and you yell at it to stop being angry, which only makes the reflection angrier. You see a sad face and you try to cheer it up, but it remains sad. You spend your life reacting to, fighting with, and trying to change the thousands of images around you, feeling exhausted, confused, and victimized by this chaotic, unpredictable world. The spiritual journey is the slow, dawning realization that you are in a hall of mirrors. It is the moment you stop running. It is the moment you cease trying to change the reflections, and instead, you turn your gaze inward to the one and only source of all the images, yourself. You realize that the angry face was a reflection of your own unacknowledged rage. The sad face was a reflection of your own unprocessed grief. The beautiful, loving face was a reflection of your own divine nature. With this understanding, your entire approach to life changes. You no longer try to fix the world. You work on healing yourself. You cultivate peace within, and the mirrors begin to reflect peace. You practice compassion for yourself, and the images around you soften. You learn to truly love and accept yourself, and the entire hall, which once seemed like a house of horrors, transforms into a radiant temple filled with nothing but the luminous reflections of your own remembered divinity. The world has not changed. You have. And that has changed everything. To change the reflection, to alter the images that the universe mirrors back to you, you must go to the very source of the projection. You must change your own vibration, your own frequency. This is the secret heart of all creation, the subtle physics of the soul. We have been taught to see the world as solid, as a collection of separate objects and disparate events. But the deeper truth, confirmed by both ancient mystics and modern physics, is that everything is energy. Everything is vibrating at a particular frequency. Your thoughts are not just fleeting ideas, they are pulses of energy. Your emotions are not just moods, they are powerful vibrational currents. Your deepest beliefs are the steady, resonant frequencies that create the baseline of your entire energetic signature. You are not a solid, static being. You are a symphony of vibrating energy, and the song you are playing is being heard and responded to by the entire cosmos. Let us think of these frequencies as a spectrum. At the lower end of the spectrum, we find the dense, heavy, and slow vibrations of shame, guilt, apathy, and fear. When you are in these states, how does your body feel? It feels heavy, constricted, and tired. Your world seems to be drained of color and possibility. Your energy field is small and tight. These are the frequencies of survival, of separation, of the ego's prison. At the higher end of the spectrum, we find the light, expansive, and fast vibrations of courage, love, joy, peace, and gratitude. When you are in these states, how do you feel? Light, open, energized, and full of possibility. Your perception sharpens, your heart feels open, your energy field is vast and radiant. These are the frequencies of creation, of connection, of your higher self. Authenticity, then, is the state of vibrational alignment. It is the state where your thoughts, your words, your emotions, and your actions are all singing in harmony at the same high frequency, the unique, signature, home frequency of your soul. Inauthenticity is vibrational dissonance. It is thinking one thing, feeling another, and doing a third. It is the state of being out of tune with yourself, and this inner static is what creates a life of friction, struggle, and dissatisfaction. This understanding reveals a common and subtle trap on the spiritual path. The conflict between genuine vibrational alchemy and superficial positive thinking. The ego, in its impatience, wants a shortcut. It wants to bypass the difficult work of feeling and transmuting its own lower frequencies. It thinks it can simply paint a layer of love and light over a deep well of unhealed anger, fear, or grief. This is the essence of spiritual bypassing or toxic positivity. It is repeating affirmations in the mirror that you do not believe. It is forcing a smile when your heart is breaking. It is pretending everything is fine when your inner world is in turmoil. This creates an even greater state of inner dissonance, because now you are not only feeling a low frequency, but you are also judging yourself for it. The soul knows there is no shortcut. True vibrational mastery is not about ignoring the lower frequencies. It is about having the courage to meet them, to feel them fully without judgment, and to use your compassionate presence, the highest frequency of all, to transmute them. You cannot hate yourself into a higher vibration. You cannot shame yourself into a state of joy. You must love yourself there. The conflict is between the ego's desire for a quick fix and the soul's patient, alchemical process of authentic transformation. You must be willing to feel it, to heal it. This leads us to the fundamental law of creation. The universe does not respond to what you want, it responds to who you are being. Your frequency is your most powerful prayer. You can beg and plead for abundance all day long, but if your dominant underlying frequency is one of lack and scarcity, you are sending out a contradictory signal. You are broadcasting "I don't have enough" on a powerful, energetic level, and the universe, as a perfect mirror, must reflect that reality back to you. You can long for a loving partner, but if your core vibration is one of self-rejection and unworthiness, you will continue to attract partners who mirror that belief back to you. The work, therefore, is not to chase after things in the outer world. The work is to become the energetic match for the reality you desire to inhabit. You must stop chasing the reflection and start embodying the source. If you want more love in your life, you must become a more loving person first and foremost with yourself. If you want to experience more abundance, You must cultivate the feeling of gratitude for what you already have, thereby vibrating at the frequency of sufficiency now. If you want peace, you must find the sanctuary of peace within your own being. You must become the thing you seek. You must generate the feeling of the wish fulfilled within your own heart and hold that frequency independent of current conditions. When you do this, the mirror of the universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your new song. So how do we practice this? How do we consciously calibrate our frequency? We do it by intentionally choosing thoughts, activities, and environments that resonate with our soul's home frequency. This is not about indulgence. It is about essential vibrational maintenance. I want you to become an explorer of your own resonance. Take some time to identify your resonance zones. What are the things that make you feel genuinely, effortlessly alive? What activities cause you to lose track of time, to feel a sense of expansion, joy, and flow? Notice that these things are almost always done for their own sake, not as a means to an end. Perhaps it is walking in nature, feeling the earth beneath your feet and the wind on your face. Perhaps it is listening to a particular piece of music that seems to bypass your mind and speak directly to your soul. Perhaps it is dancing with abandon in your living room, moving your body in a way that feels freeing and joyful. It could be losing yourself in a creative act like painting, writing, or gardening. It could be the deep, authentic connection you feel in a conversation with a trusted friend. It could be the simple act of petting an animal or the profound feeling of gratitude that arises when you truly appreciate a beautiful sunset. These are not luxuries. These are not frivolous wastes of time. These are your vibrational tune-ups. They are essential practices for recalibrating your energy field and reminding you of your own authentic frequency. Your practical task is to consciously and deliberately schedule these activities into your life. Treat them with the same importance as any other appointment. Make a resonance list and ensure you are doing at least one thing from that list every single day. This is the act of consciously choosing to broadcast at your home frequency, strengthening its signal, and making it your dominant state of being. Imagine that your entire being, your mind, body, and spirit is a powerful radio broadcasting tower. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, you are sending a signal out into the universe. The frequency of that signal is determined by the sum total of your energetic state. Every fearful thought, every judgment, every feeling of resentment lowers the frequency, broadcasting on the AM bands of struggle and strife. Every thought of gratitude, every feeling of love, every act of kindness raises the frequency, broadcasting on the clear, powerful FM bands of grace and flow. The universe is the grand receiver, and it can only play the songs, the experiences, the people, the opportunities that are a perfect match for the frequency you are transmitting. You cannot broadcast on 92.5 AM, the station of I Am Not Worthy, and expect to hear the music of 104.7 FM, the station of I Am Deeply Loved. It is a physical impossibility. The radio does not judge. It simply reflects the signal it receives. For most of our lives, we have been yelling at the radio, begging it to play a different song, not realizing that we are the ones in control of the broadcast tower. The entire spiritual journey is the process of walking back to your own inner tower, taking your seat at the control panel, and consciously, deliberately, and lovingly changing the station. You do this not by force, but by feeling. You do this by choosing joy, by practicing gratitude, by embodying love, until your new frequency becomes so steady and so strong that the universe has no choice but to fill your world with the beautiful, resonant music of your true and authentic self. As your frequency changes, as you begin to consciously and consistently broadcast the authentic song of your soul, a new reality begins to emerge. But you must understand a critical and often painful truth of this process. Not everyone in your old reality will be able to tune in to your new station. Some will not have the capacity, some will not have the desire, and some will be actively hostile to the new music you are playing. To remain true to your path in the face of this requires a new and profound kind of courage, the courage to be misunderstood. This is one of the final and most challenging gateways on the journey of remembering. To pass through it is to claim your ultimate freedom. Authentic growth is, by its very nature, a disruptive act. When you begin to live from your center, to speak your truth, and to align your life with your soul's frequency, you become a living, breathing mirror. For those who are also on a path of growth, your light will be an inspiration. They will see their own potential reflected in you and feel encouraged. But for those who are deeply invested in their masks, who have built their identities upon the shaky ground of conformity and ego, your authenticity can feel like a threat. Without you saying a single word, your genuine presence unconsciously illuminates their own inauthenticity. It highlights the compromises they have made, the truths they have denied, the prisons they have accepted as homes. This can be deeply uncomfortable for them, and the ego's natural defense against this discomfort is to attack the mirror. They will not say, "Your authenticity makes me aware of my own lack thereof." They will say, "You've changed." They will say, "You're being selfish." They will label you as weird, arrogant, or lost in some fantasy. They will judge you, criticize you, or simply withdraw from you, because your new vibration is a dissonant frequency in the familiar, comfortable song of their own life. This triggers one of the deepest and most primal conflicts we can face as human beings: the soul's desperate need for authenticity versus the ego's primal need for tribal belonging. We are wired for connection. For millennia, being ostracized from the tribe meant certain death. This fear is embedded in our DNA. So when we are faced with the choice between speaking our truth and risking the disapproval of our family, our friends, our community, a profound terror can arise. The temptation to dim your own light, to go back to pretending, to contort yourself back into the familiar shape that everyone was comfortable with, can be immense. You are torn between two kinds of loneliness: the potential loneliness of being physically separate from those who no longer understand you, and the soul-crushing loneliness of being surrounded by people who love a version of you that is no longer real. The latter is the more devastating loneliness, for it is a constant, quiet betrayal of the self. You smile and nod while your soul is screaming. You participate in conversations that feel hollow and meaningless. You are a ghost at a feast held in your own honor. To navigate this passage, you must embrace a liberating and radical truth. The approval of others is a beautifully decorated cage. Their validation may feel warm and comforting, but the price of admission is your own sovereign soul. Your freedom is worth more than their applause. Being misunderstood by those who are committed to living within the confines of the ego is not a sign of your failure, it is a profound sign of your success. It is irrefutable proof that you have finally stopped contorting your spirit to fit into boxes that were suffocating you. It is evidence that you are choosing the vibrant, unpredictable wilderness of your own truth over the sterile, predictable garden of social acceptance. Your sacred duty is not to make everyone comfortable with your evolution. Your sacred duty is to be relentlessly, unapologetically true to your own frequency. In doing so, you create an energetic vacuum. As you lovingly release the connections that are no longer a vibrational match, you create the necessary space for new connections, new soul family, to be drawn into your life, people who see you, celebrate you, and resonate with the true song you are now singing. This requires the cultivation of an inner anchor, a practice of sourcing your validation from within. When you feel the sting of judgment or the cold shoulder of misunderstanding, the temptation is to either fight back and defend yourself or to collapse inward with self-doubt. Resist both. Instead, perform this simple anchoring act. Place your hand on your heart. Take a slow, deep breath. and speak these words silently to the core of your being. My truth is valid. My path is my own. I approve of myself. In that moment, you shift the locus of control. You are no longer a vulnerable child seeking permission from the outside world. You are a sovereign being, anchored in your own unshakable self-worth. You become your own staunchest ally, your own most compassionate witness. From this centered place, you can learn to express your truth calmly and cleanly, without attachment to the outcome. You are responsible for the integrity of your transmission, not for the quality of their reception. If they are not tuned to your frequency, they will only hear static. That is not your concern. Your concern is to broadcast your truth with love and clarity. Imagine your life until now has been like a ship, safely moored in a familiar harbor. This harbor is your comfort zone. It is filled with the people, beliefs, and routines you have always known. It is sheltered, predictable, and for a long time, it felt like home. But as you have awakened, you have begun to hear a different call, not from the harbor master, but from the vast, open ocean that lies beyond the harbor walls. The ocean is the call of your soul, the lure of your true potential. It is wild, unknown, and filled with both beauty and storms. You realize, with a deep and aching certainty, that you were not built to be a harbor boat. You were built to be an ocean vessel. And so, with immense courage, you decide to pull up your anchor. As you begin to sail toward the mouth of the harbor, the people on the shore begin to react. Some wave and cheer, for they too have heard the call of the ocean in their own hearts. But many others shout with fear and confusion. "Come back," they cry. "It's safe here. The sea is dangerous. There are monsters out there. Who do you think you are to attempt such a journey?" They try to throw you ropes of guilt and obligation to pull you back. They cannot understand why you would leave the safety of the known for the terrifying uncertainty of the unknown. They are not bad people. They are simply harbor people. They have never felt the pull of the open water. To them, your journey is an act of foolishness or betrayal. The ship, which is you, can hear their voices. A part of you feels the sadness of leaving them behind. But the ship's bow is pointed toward the horizon. Its sails are catching a wind that those on the shore cannot feel. It is being guided not by the voices from the past, but by the compass of its own inner truth and the light of the distant stars of its own intuition. To those on the shore, the ship becomes a mystery, a silhouette disappearing into the mist. They will create stories about it, that it was lost, that it was foolish, that it was selfish. The ship must have the courage to let them have their stories, because the ship is no longer concerned with the opinions of the shore. It is now in a deep, intimate dialogue with the wind, the waves, and the stars. It is finally doing what it was created to do. It is exploring, it is discovering, it is free. This is the courage to be misunderstood. It is the price of your freedom, and it is the most worthy price you will ever pay. In the space created by this courage, in the quiet aftermath of choosing your own truth over the approval of others, you will inevitably find yourself spending more time in your own company. And here, in this newfound space, we must learn one of the most vital distinctions on the path of remembering, the profound difference between loneliness and solitude. Our society has conflated the two, teaching us that to be alone is to be lonely, that time spent with oneself is a sign of social failure, a void that must be filled. Loneliness is a state of lack. It is a painful awareness of an absence of connection. It is the ego feeling isolated, looking outward, and craving for another person to come and validate its existence, to fill its emptiness. Loneliness is the feeling of being on the outside looking in. Solitude, however, is a state of richness. It is the joyful and deliberate act of being present with your own soul. It is not about the absence of others, but about the profound presence of yourself. Solitude is looking inward and finding that you are, and have always been, more than enough. We have been conditioned to fear our own company, because, for most of our lives, being alone meant being left with the relentless, critical chatter of the unobserved ego. It meant being trapped in a room with our own harshest judge. So we ran from it, filling every moment with social interaction, work, or digital distraction. The inner conflict is between the soul's deep and instinctual need for the restorative power of solitude and the ego's frantic fear of it. The soul knows that in solitude, it can finally hear itself think. It knows that this is where it recalibrates its energy, where it connects to the source of its wisdom, where it heals and recharges. But the ego panics. Without the mirror of another person to reflect its identity back to it, without the noise of the world to distract it from its own emptiness, it feels threatened. It will trigger feelings of anxiety, restlessness, and a compulsive urge to reach for the phone, to turn on the television, to do anything to avoid the great, silent expanse of one's own being. This is the final frontier of self-trust. To learn to not only tolerate your own company, but to actively seek it, to cherish it, and to recognize it as the sacred ground where you commune most deeply with the divine. Here is the truth that transforms that fear into a welcoming embrace. Solitude is not an empty space to be endured. It is a sacred sanctuary to be built. It is the inner sanctum, the holy of holies within the temple of your own being. It is the charging station for your soul. In the quiet of true solitude, you are never actually alone. You are in deep communion with your higher self, with your intuition, with the silent, intelligent presence of the universe. It is in the fertile silence of solitude that the whispers of guidance become clear and unmistakable. It is where the seeds of creativity, planted in the subconscious, finally have the quiet they need to sprout. It is where you unplug from the chaotic, draining static of the collective consciousness and plug directly into the infinite, restorative wellspring of your own energy. To learn to love solitude is to become spiritually self-sufficient. You cease to be a beggar for external energy and validation and become a sovereign ruler of your own inner kingdom. Your center of gravity shifts from the outside world to the unshakable core of your own being. This requires the conscious and deliberate practice of building your own sanctuary. This is the architecture of solitude, and it has both an outer and an inner component. The outer architecture involves creating a physical space in your daily life that is dedicated to this practice. You do not need a separate room. It can be a single, comfortable chair by a window. It can be a cushion in the corner of your bedroom. It can be a small bench in your garden. You must consecrate this space. The only rule is that when you are in your sanctuary, you are there to be with yourself. There are no phones allowed, no laptops, no books, no distractions. You are creating a physical anchor for an inner state. By repeatedly entering this space with the intention of quiet presence, you are training your mind and body. Over time, simply sitting in that chair will signal to your entire system that it is time to turn inward, to quiet down, and to listen. This space becomes your personal temple, a visible reminder of your commitment to your own inner life. The inner architecture is even more crucial. It is the act of scheduling and honoring solitude dates with yourself. You must treat this time with the same reverence and commitment you would give to an important meeting with someone you deeply respect. Put it in your calendar. Protect it from the encroachment of other demands. This date can take many forms. It could be a silent walk in nature, where your only goal is to observe the world around you without the filter of conversation. It could be a solo visit to an art museum, allowing the beauty to speak directly to you without the need for commentary. It could be the simple, profound act of making yourself a cup of tea and sitting in your sacred chair for 30 minutes, with no agenda other than to enjoy your own company. In the beginning, this may feel awkward. The ego will chatter, demanding a purpose, a goal, a distraction. Your job is to gently ignore it and stay. You are courting your own soul. You are learning to become your own best friend, your own most fascinating companion. You are discovering the rich, complex, and beautiful world that exists within you, a world you have been too busy to explore. Imagine your inner self is a secret garden hidden behind a high wall in the center of a loud, bustling, and often polluted city. For most of your life, you have lived in the city, so caught up in its noise, its traffic, and its demands that you have forgotten the garden even exists. Loneliness is the feeling of being lost and overwhelmed in the city streets. Solitude is the act of finding the hidden gate in the wall, turning the ancient key of your own intention and stepping inside. At first, the garden may seem neglected. Weeds of anxious thought may have grown rampant. The pathways of self-trust may be overgrown. The fountain of inner peace may be clogged with the debris of old hurts. The work of solitude is the gentle, patient work of tending this garden. Each time you sit in your sacred chair, you are pulling a few weeds. Each time you take a silent walk, you are clearing a pathway. Each time you journal or meditate, you are planting new seeds of insight and self-compassion. Each time you simply sit and breathe, you are allowing the clean water of your own awareness to flush out the fountain until it begins to trickle and then to flow with the clear, cool water of inner peace. You do not go to the garden to escape the city forever. You go to the garden to be nourished, to remember the scent of real flowers, to feel the stability of the earth, to listen to the wisdom of the ancient trees. You go there to remember who you are, away from the clamor and the masks of the city. And when you emerge from the garden and walk back into the city streets, you are different. You carry the fragrance of the garden with you. You carry its peace in your heart. The noise of the traffic does not seem so jarring. The demands of the world do not seem so overwhelming. You can navigate the city with a new grace and a new resilience, because you know that at any moment you can return to the silence and beauty of your own secret garden. It is always there, waiting for you. This is the gift of solitude. It is not an escape from life, but the very source of your ability to live it fully. From this inner sanctuary, we begin to understand the laws of the universe, not as rules, but as feedback. We begin to understand the ancient, often misunderstood concept of karma. For so long, we have been taught to fear this word. It has been presented as a system of cosmic justice, of divine reward and punishment, managed by an unseen accountant who keeps a meticulous ledger of our rights and wrongs. This is a story born of the ego's need for hierarchy, for judgment, for a universe that operates on fear. It keeps us small, looking over our shoulder, afraid of a punishing force outside of ourselves. But the truth, as felt from the stillness of your inner sanctuary, is far more elegant, far more empowering, and infinitely more simple. Karma is not a judge. It is a teacher. It is not a punishment. It is a mirror. It is the universe's most profound and consistent form of feedback. Imagine yourself standing in a vast, silent valley. Every word you speak, every sound you make, is returned to you as an echo. If you scream in anger, the valley does not judge your anger. It does not punish you for it. It simply, faithfully, returns the sound of an angry scream. If you whisper words of love, the valley does not reward you for your love. It returns the whisper. The valley is neutral. The valley is a law. This is the nature of karma. It is the echo of your own energy. The life you experience is the echo of the thoughts you have thought, the words you have spoken, the actions you have taken, the beliefs you have held as true. The universe does not give you what you want. It gives you what you are. It echoes your frequency back to you so that you might finally become aware of what you are broadcasting. The pain often associated with bad karma is not a punishment. It is the discomfort of hearing your own unconscious screams of fear, lack, and judgment echoed back to you as your reality. It is a profound opportunity to stop, to listen to the echo, and for the first time, truly examine the original sound. This is where the greatest internal conflict arises, the pivot upon which your entire reality can turn. It is the shift from victim to creator. The victim stands in the valley, hearing the echoes of anger and frustration, and cries out, "Why is this valley so cruel to me? Why does it always scream at me? This fate is unfair." The creator, hearing the same echo, falls silent. They turn their attention inward. They ask, "What sound am I making that is creating this echo?" This shift is not about self-blame. Blame is the ego's game. This is about self-responsibility, which is the soul's power. It is the radical act of ceasing to analyze the echo and beginning to master the voice. It is the moment you realize that if you want to hear a different sound from the valley, you must be the one to create it. You have to stop screaming. This is why you are the farmer in the garden of your life. This metaphor is not a poetic platitude. It is a literal, functional truth. The soil of your garden is the infinite potential of the present moment. The seeds you plant are your thoughts, your intentions, your words, and your actions. The harvest you reap is your life experience, your reality. For years you may have been unconsciously planting seeds of doubt, fear, and unworthiness given to you by others, and then wondering why your garden is full of thorns and weeds. You may have cursed the soil, you may have cursed the weather, you may have cursed your fate, but the law of the garden is simple. It grows what you plant. You cannot change the harvest of yesterday. Those crops have already grown. To spend your energy in regret over past harvests is futile. Your power is not in the past. Your power is in the seeds you hold in your hand right now. In this moment, you can choose to plant a new seed. You can choose a thought of gratitude. You can choose an action rooted in love. You can speak a word of kindness to yourself or to another. You can choose to believe, just for a moment, in your own worthiness. You are the farmer. You have the seeds. The soil is ready. The most potent, practical way to begin this new farming is to practice the sacred pause. Before you speak, before you react, before you send that angry email, before you spiral into a familiar pattern of worry, just pause for one single breath. And in that pause, ask yourself the question that will change the entire harvest of your life. What is the energy I am about to emit? Be honest. Is it the energy of a victim? Is it the energy of scarcity? Is it the energy of anger, of needing to be right? Or can you, in that one breath, choose a different energy? Can you choose the energy of peace, even if you don't feel peaceful? Can you choose the energy of trust, even if you are afraid? You do not need to feel it fully at first. You only need to choose it. Your choice is the seed. Consistent choice is the water. This single practice, this conscious selection of the energy you broadcast, is the most powerful way to change the echo that the universe returns to you. It is how you stop shouting at the valley and begin to sing to it. This is not theory. This is the physics of consciousness. The karma of your relationships is an echo of the relationship you have with yourself. If you do not respect yourself, you will hear the echo of disrespect from others. The karma of your finances is an echo of your beliefs about abundance and worth. If you broadcast a frequency of lack, you will hear the echo of scarcity. The karma of your health is often an echo of the energy you feed your body, not just with food, but with stress, with self-criticism, with unresolved emotion. Look at the persistent, repeating patterns in your life. They are not curses. They are your most dedicated teachers. They are the loudest echoes, begging you to pay attention to the sound you are creating. They are a feedback loop of pure grace, designed to guide you back to harmony, back to the authentic frequency of your higher self. So let go of the fear of karma. Release the image of a cosmic judge. Step out of the courtroom of the ego and into the garden of the soul. You are not being punished for your past. You are being invited to create a new future. Pick up your tools, choose your seeds with care. Understand that every thought is a prayer and every action is a ceremony. The valley is listening. It is always listening. It is waiting with infinite patience and perfect neutrality to hear what sound you will choose to make next. As we master the art of sowing new seeds, we must also become comfortable with the space in between, the void. This is perhaps the most challenging and misunderstood part of the entire journey. Having done the work of letting go, of changing our energetic output, we expect an immediate result, a sudden and glorious harvest. Instead, we are often met with a profound and terrifying silence, a stillness, an emptiness. This is the void. It is the sacred pause between the exhalation and the next inhalation. It is the space you enter after you have left a job, a relationship, or a city, but before the new one has arrived. It is the disorientation you feel when an old identity has dissolved, but the new one has not yet taken form. Our society has no tolerance for this space. It is labeled as unemployment, as being single, as being lost, as stagnation. The ego, the inner architect of our fear, panics in this space. It screams that you have made a terrible mistake, that you are falling behind, that you have been abandoned. It will urge you, with a desperate, frantic energy, to fill this emptiness with anything at all, just to prove that you are still moving, still doing, still existing. This fear of the void is the fear of non-existence. The ego is a structure built from definitions. It is a collection of job titles, relationship statuses, personal histories, and future plans. It tells you who you are by what you have and what you do. The void, by its very nature, has none of these things. It is a clean slate. It is a mirror that reflects nothing, and this threatens the ego's entire sense of self. To the ego, to be in the void is to be nothing, and so it fights. It goads you to scramble for a lesser job, so you are not unemployed. It pushes you into a lukewarm relationship, so you are not alone. It fills the silence with noise, the stillness with busy work, the not knowing with obsessive planning and worry. It is a desperate attempt to avoid the profound discomfort of simply being, without definition. We become addicted to the motion, terrified that if we stop, we will find that there is nothing there. We have been taught that value lies in production, in progress, in a linear, upward climb. The void feels like a catastrophic failure, a freefall into nothingness. But here lies the most profound secret of creation, a truth that your higher self knows intimately. The void is not empty. It is the womb of all potential. It is not an absence. It is a presence. It is the fertile darkness from which all things are born. Before the Big Bang, there was the great expanse. Before the seed sprouts, it rests in the silent, dark, and nourishing soil. Before the masterpiece is painted, there is a clean, white, empty canvas. Creation does not spring from a place that is already full. It cannot. It can only arise from the space of no thingness. This emptiness you fear is not a sign that you are lost. It is a sign that you are on the sacred threshold of creation. You have cleared the land. You have pulled the weeds of the past. Now, you must allow the field to lie fallow for a season. You must trust the fertility of the darkness. This space that your mind calls nothing is what your soul recognizes as everything in potential. It is the energetic womb where the universe is gathering the resources, aligning the synchronicities, and preparing the path for what is to come. To rush and fill it with your own anxious efforts is to plant a plastic flower in the most fertile soil on earth. This is the ultimate internal conflict, the mind's desperate need for control versus the soul's deep capacity for trust. The mind operates on maps, schedules, and 5-year plans. It believes its survival depends on knowing what comes next. It will whisper and then shout at you, "This is dangerous. We need a guarantee." We need to force something to happen. We must take control. The voice of your soul, your higher self, speaks in a different tone. It does not shout. It simply is. It radiates a quiet, solid trust. It says, "Be still. All is well." You have sent out the call. Now you must be quiet enough to hear the answer. You have planted the seed. Do not keep digging it up to see if it is growing. Trust the process. Surrendering to the void is not passive laziness. It is an active, courageous, and deeply spiritual act of faith. It is a declaration to the universe that you trust its intelligence more than your own anxiety. It is the highest form of collaboration where you have done your part, and now you are creating the sacred space for the divine to do its part. To cultivate this trust, you must practice the art of non-doing. This is not the same as procrastinating or being idle. It is a conscious, intentional practice of resisting the urge to fill the space. Start small. For 10 minutes a day, give yourself permission to do nothing. Sit in a chair. Do not turn on the television. Do not pick up your phone. Do not try to solve your problems or plan your next move. Your only task is to be. Simply exist in the space. Watch the frantic energy of your mind as it tries to pull you into action. Observe the impulse to make a list, to worry, to distract yourself, and just notice it without judgment and let it pass. Breathe into the feeling of emptiness. Make friends with the silence. At first, it will feel intensely uncomfortable, but with practice, you are training your nervous system. You are teaching your entire being that this space is not a threat. It is safe. It is peaceful. It is home. You are creating a container within yourself that is strong enough to hold the immense creative power of the universe. From this stillness, true inspiration is born. The solutions that arise from the void are not the frantic, patched-together fixes of the ego. They are elegant, inspired, and often completely surprising. A chance encounter, a sudden insight, an opportunity that you could never have conceived of with your logical mind. This is what it means to be in the flow. You are no longer trying to push the river. You are allowing the current to carry you. When you cease your frantic striving, you create a vacuum that draws your good to you. The right people, the right resources, the right path forward will reveal themselves not because you chased them down, but because you became a clear, calm, and receptive vessel for them to enter. The mind thinks it must build the bridge, stone by painstaking stone. The soul knows that if you can just be still and trust, the bridge will simply appear. So if you find yourself in this space today, this pause between chapters, take a deep breath. You are not lost. You are not failing. You are in the Holy of Holies. You are in the creative womb of the cosmos. Honor this space. Do not desecrate it with frantic worry or cheap distractions. The pause between the notes is what gives the music its beauty. The empty space on the page is what gives the poem its meaning. Your life is a masterpiece, and it needs these moments of profound stillness to achieve its full expression. Embrace the fertile emptiness. Trust the sacred pause, for it is from this nothingness that your everything will be born. And out of that void, a new way of acting in the world is born. Not through struggle, but through flow. Having rested in the fertile darkness, having become comfortable with the not knowing, you do not remain there forever. You are called back into the world of form, of action, but you do not return the same way you left. You begin to embody the divine paradox, the sacred balance of effortless action and surrendered will. To the egoic mind, this sounds like a contradiction. How can one act without effort? How can one have a will, a desire, and also be surrendered? We have been taught that these are opposing forces, that to achieve anything requires a fight, a struggle, a forceful imposition of our will upon the world. We believe we must either be a passive leaf blown by the wind or a relentless hammer shaping the world to our liking. The truth, the path of the awakened soul, lies in discovering the exquisite intelligence that exists between these two extremes. It is the wisdom known by the ancient sages as Wu Wei, the art of acting by not acting, of moving with the grain of the universe. To understand this new way, we must first dismantle our deep and almost religious worship of struggle. We have been conditioned to believe that struggle is a virtue. We wear our exhaustion as a badge of honor. The phrases hustle, grind, blood, sweat, and tears are held up as the only noble path to success. We have come to believe that if something comes easily, it must not be valuable. If a path feels joyful and light, we distrust it, assuming it is a detour from the real work, which must, by definition, be hard. But from the perspective of your higher self, struggle is not a badge of honor. It is a diagnostic tool. It is a sign of resistance. Struggle is the friction that is generated when your personal, egoic will is pushing against the natural flow of life. It is the spiritual equivalent of trying to swim directly against a powerful current. You may make some progress through sheer exhausting force, but you are wasting monumental amounts of energy and creating immense stress, all while the current is trying to guide you toward a much more elegant path. When you feel that grinding sense of struggle, it is not a call to push harder. It is an invitation to pause, to become still, and to ask, what am I resisting? What is the current that I am refusing to see? Consider the metaphor of a skilled rower on a vast river. The river is the flow of life, the Tao, the will of the universe. The rower has a destination in mind, a place on the distant shore they wish to reach. This is their intention, their will. A novice rower, operating from ego, might see the current and decide it is an obstacle. They might try to row directly against it, their muscles straining, their breath short, making slow and painful progress. This is the life of struggle. Or they might try to row in a perfectly straight line toward their destination, ignoring the river's powerful sideways pull, and find themselves constantly fighting to stay on course, exhausted and frustrated. The wise rower, however, practices Wu Wei. They honor both their intention and the river. They point the nose of their boat toward the destination, holding that vision clearly. But then they place their oars in the water and work with the current. They use the river's own energy to help propel them forward, steering gently, angling themselves in a way that allows the flow to do most of the work. They are not passive. They are still rowing, but their action is intelligent, aligned, and effortless. They arrive at their destination faster and with more energy than the one who chose to fight. This is the divine paradox. You must still row, but you must not fight the river. This translates into a two-part spiritual practice for acting in the world. The first part is action, the setting of a clear and powerful intention. This is the masculine aspect of creation, the focused will. This is where you do your part. You get crystal clear on what you wish to create or experience. You use your focus, your imagination, and your feeling state to build a vibrant inner reality of the outcome. You are the rower choosing the destination. You feel the sun on your face as you arrive on that distant shore. You smell the air. You feel the deep satisfaction of arrival. This is not idle daydreaming. It is the essential work of aligning your energy, of creating the energetic blueprint for what you want to manifest. You are giving the universe a clear target. The second part is surrender, the release of the process to a higher intelligence. This is the feminine aspect of creation, the receptive trust. Once you have done your part with clarity and conviction, you must let it go. You must completely release your attachment to the how and the when. You must surrender the outcome to the wisdom of the river. This is where most of us falter. We set the intention, and then we spend all our energy worrying, trying to control the variables, constantly checking for results, and trying to force the outcome. This frantic energy of control contaminates the clear energy of our intention. It is like telling a master chef exactly how to cook the meal after you have ordered it. It signals a profound lack of trust. True surrender is rowing your boat with peaceful focus on the stroke in front of you, with complete faith that the river you have entrusted yourself to knows the way. You can practice this right now. Think of a task you must complete, a project you are working on. Take a moment, see it finished, in its most beautiful and successful form. Don't think about the steps. Just jump to the end and feel the feeling of its completion. Feel the relief, the pride, the joy. Bathe your entire being in the frequency of "it is done." Hold this feeling for a minute. Now, take a deep breath, and as you exhale, intentionally let the image and the feeling dissolve. Release it to the universe, hand it over, and then open your eyes and bring your full, undivided attention to the single, smallest, most immediate physical step you can take. Not the whole project. Just the next stroke of the oar. Answering one email, making one phone call, writing one sentence. You anchor the powerful, surrendered vision in a small, peaceful, present moment action. That is the dance. When you begin to act from this place of flow, everything changes. The feeling is not one of pushing a boulder up a hill, but of dancing with a partner who knows all the steps. Your actions become potent, precise, and surprisingly effective. You find yourself in the right place at the right time. The perfect idea comes to you in the shower. The person with the answer calls you out of the blue. You accomplish more with far less effort because you are no longer wasting your life force on resistance. You have ceased to be a warrior fighting against the world and have become a conduit through which the world's creative intelligence can flow. You haven't given up your power. You have simply stopped relying on the limited, brute force power of the ego and have plugged into the infinite, intelligent power of life itself. You still row, but now the entire river is rowing with you. Living this way means letting go of our most cherished illusion, that we need a map. We are born into a world that hands us maps from our first breath. The map of a successful education, the map of a respectable career, the map of a proper family life, the map of financial security. We collect these maps, laminate them, and store them in the archives of our minds, believing they are blueprints for a safe and happy life. They offer the ego its most treasured possession, the feeling of certainty, the illusion of a known future. A map promises a predictable path, a way to navigate the terrifying wilderness of life without getting lost. It tells us which turns to take, which mountains to climb, and where the treasure is supposedly buried. And for a time, following these maps works. It gives us a sense of progress, of moving forward, of being a good and successful person. But for a soul that is awakening, there comes a moment when you look down at the map in your hands and then look up at the landscape of your heart, and you realize with a chilling certainty that the map is leading you somewhere you have no desire to go. The moment you decide to drop that map is both the most terrifying and the most liberating moment of your life. The terror comes first. It is the ego's primal scream. Without a map, it feels like you are adrift in a vast ocean with no land in sight. It feels like incompetence, like recklessness, like a complete failure to plan. The mind will race, supplying you with 1,000 catastrophic what-if scenarios. You have abandoned the marked trail. You are now officially lost. But after the initial wave of panic, if you can just be still and breathe through it, a new feeling begins to dawn, quiet and profound. It is the feeling of absolute freedom. It is the exhilarating realization that you are no longer bound by a story that was written for you by someone else. You are no longer a tourist, checking off sites from a pre-approved itinerary. You have become an explorer. The world is no longer a problem to be solved or a territory to be conquered. It has become a living mystery, and your life is the sacred process of discovering it, one step at a time. Imagine you are walking through a dense, white fog. It is so thick that you can only see the ground for 3 feet in front of you. You know you are on a path, but you cannot see where it came from, nor where it leads. You cannot see the twists and turns ahead, the steep climbs or the gentle descents. The mind, in this situation, goes into a state of high alert. It wants to see the whole journey. It wants to know the destination. It craves the security of a bird's eye view. Its instinct is to stop, to freeze, or to run back to where the fog was thinner, where things felt more certain. But the soul knows a different wisdom. The soul knows that the only way to navigate the fog is to have absolute faith in the next 3 feet of ground. You bring your full presence, your full attention, to the step that is right in front of you. You feel the firmness of the earth beneath your foot. And as you take that one single trusted step, the fog magically clears, revealing the next 3 feet. This is how the path unfolds, not all at once, in a grand revelation, but incrementally, miraculously, with each committed step into the immediate unknown. You can cross continents this way. You can navigate the most complex journey of your life, not by seeing the end, but by having unshakable faith in the next step. This is the great shift from living by an outer map to navigating by an inner compass. The outer maps of society are rigid. They are often outdated. They are generic, one-size-fits-all documents that cannot possibly account for the unique, intricate, and sacred geography of your individual soul. They lead to destinations crowded with people who have all followed the same directions, only to find a hollow sense of achievement. Your inner compass, however, is a living instrument. It is your intuition. It is that quiet knowing, that gut feeling, that whisper of your higher self. It is dynamic, perfectly calibrated to you, and it is always, in every moment, pointing toward your personal true north, the direction of your deepest growth, your highest joy, and your most authentic expression. The entire spiritual journey comes down to this single courageous choice. In a moment of uncertainty, will you trust the loud, convincing, well-documented paper map in your hand, or will you trust the silent, subtle, and often inexplicable pull of the compass in your heart? To strengthen this muscle of trust, you must practice getting lost on purpose, in small, playful ways. The mind learns through experience, so you must give it new experiences of the unknown that end in delight, not disaster. This week, take a different route home from work. Don't plan it. Just make a turn you've never made before, and trust you will find your way. Go to a cafe and order something you've never heard of without asking what is in it. Walk into a library, close your eyes, and let your hand fall on a book. Take that one home. These small acts of surrendering control are acts of spiritual defiance against the tyranny of the known. You are teaching your nervous system, on a cellular level, that the unknown is not a predator to be feared, but a field of infinite, positive possibility. You are learning to befriend uncertainty, to find a sense of adventure in the not knowing. When you live this way, your life ceases to be a project that you must manage, and it becomes a masterpiece that is being revealed to you. Your primary question shifts from, "Am I on schedule?" to, "What beauty will unfold today?" You stop measuring your life in milestones and start experiencing it in moments. There is a deep relaxation that settles into your being. You are no longer in a desperate rush to become, because you trust the process of becoming. You do not criticize a rosebud on Tuesday for not being a full-blown rose. You simply witness its perfect, gradual unfolding, trusting that it will bloom in its own divine timing. Your life is that rose. Trust its timing. Trust its unfolding. You are not meant to know the whole story. You are meant to live it. And so, you let go of the map, not to become lost, but to finally be found. You are relinquishing the crude drawings of the ego to honor the divine cartography of the soul. You are admitting that the small, fearful part of you does not know the way, and you are allowing the vast, wise, and loving part of you to take the lead. The path is not lost. The path is you. The path is the very act of walking, one present, trusting, courageous step at a time into the glorious, fog-laden, and utterly sacred unknown. And so, the journey comes full circle. You stop searching for the light because you realize you have become it. The frantic outward search for answers, for gurus, for validation, for a distant, future version of yourself who is finally healed and whole, all falls away. It dissolves, not in failure, but in fulfillment. The seeker and the sought have merged into one. You understand that the entire journey was never about becoming someone new. It was always about unbecoming everything you were not. It was a sacred process of excavation, of chipping away the hardened layers of conditioning, fear, and borrowed belief, until you finally struck the radiant, unbreakable diamond of the self that was there from the very beginning. The search is over, not because you found something, but because you finally stopped overlooking the one who was doing the searching. The waiting is over, because you have remembered that the person you were waiting for has been living behind your eyes all along. With the end of the search comes the end of the inner war. The great, exhausting conflict between the ego and the soul, the mind and the heart, finds its armistice. This is not a state of annihilation, where the ego is destroyed and banished. It is a state of harmonization, where the ego, once a fearful tyrant, now becomes a loyal and trusted minister. It no longer runs the kingdom with its agenda of fear and separation. Instead, it serves the silent, benevolent monarch of the soul. It tends to the practical matters of the physical world, managing the body and navigating society. But it takes its direction from a higher, deeper wisdom. The constant inner chatter of judgment and anxiety is replaced by a foundational silence. The conflict resolves into a beautiful, functional wholeness. You are no longer a house divided against itself. You are a unified field of presence, where all parts of you are honored, integrated, and working in service of the light you now know yourself to be. This is the peace that surpasses all understanding, because it was not won in a battle, but realized in a surrender to the truth of your own being. From this place of inner peace, you become the lighthouse. This is the final metaphor, the final identity that replaces all the old, fractured ones. Think for a moment of the nature of a lighthouse. Its power does not come from its frantic activity, but from its steadfast presence. First and foremost, it is built upon an unshakable foundation. It is rooted deep in the solid rock, impervious to the crashing waves and the howling winds of the storm. This foundation is the inner work you have done. It is every moment you chose to sit in the terrifying stillness, every tear you shed in transmuting old pain, every act of discipline you performed in the fire of resistance, every moment you trusted the void when your mind screamed in protest. Your foundation is your non-negotiable connection to your own inner truth, to the sovereign ground of the present moment. The storms of life will still come. The world will not cease its turmoil, but they no longer threaten to capsize you. You are anchored in something deeper than circumstance, and from this solid foundation, the lighthouse shines its light. What is this light? It is not an effort. It is not a performance of spirituality. It is not a mask of forced positivity. The light is the natural, effortless radiance of your authentic self. It is the byproduct of your own inner peace. A lamp does not struggle to shine. It simply shines because it is connected to its source of power. Your only job is to remain connected to your source, to that inner stillness, to that compassionate awareness that you are. The light is the genuine warmth in your smile, the calm in your voice, the peaceful presence you bring into a room. You do not have to try to shine. You simply have to be what you are, and the shining happens as a natural consequence. You release the burden of trying to be spiritual and embrace the simplicity of just being. Herein lies your new and final mission, your truest service to the world. The lighthouse does not leave its foundation to chase after ships in the storm. It does not sail out into the treacherous waters to guide each one individually. It does not scream instructions against the wind. It does not worry whether the ships can see its light or whether they will choose to follow it. To do so would be to abandon its post, to lose its own power and stability. The lighthouse has only one job: to stand tall, to remain rooted, and to shine its light consistently and without judgment. Its service is passive, yet it is profound. It is a stable point of reference in a world of chaos. It offers guidance, but it does not compel. It illuminates the way, but it honors the free will of every captain to navigate their own course. This is your service now. You release the ego's desire to be a savior, a healer, a fixer. You understand that your greatest gift to the world is not what you do, but who you are being. Your stability becomes a silent permission slip for others to find their own. Your peace becomes a resonant frequency that calms the storms in others, often without a single word being spoken. This is the ultimate practical application: to live consciously, to embody your own light in the small, ordinary moments of your life. To be the lighthouse means that when you listen to another person, you offer them the vast, healing ocean of your full attention, free from the need to formulate a reply or to fix their problems. You simply provide a safe harbor for their truth to be heard. When you wash the dishes, you are not just washing dishes. You are fully present with the warm water and the smooth plates, bringing a state of peace to a simple task. This conscious presence is the beam of your light, cutting through the fog of the world's distraction. It means you act from a place of inner alignment, not from anxious obligation. You speak from a place of compassion, not from a need to be right. You are no longer exporting your inner turmoil out into the world. You are radiating your inner peace. This is the most potent form of healing you can offer humanity. The journey has indeed come full circle. You began as a shadow, feeling lost and disconnected, searching for a light outside of yourself. Now you stand as the source of that light. The forgotten self has been remembered. The actor has left the stage and realized they are the silent awareness watching the play. You are not just a ship navigating the storm anymore. You are the lighthouse that is one with the rock, one with the light, and one with the calm that persists even in the heart of the storm. Your purpose is not to end the storm for everyone else. Your purpose is to be the proof that it is possible to find stillness within it. Stand tall, stay rooted, and just shine. The journey began with a question, a quiet wondering about the person you have forgotten you are. And now, at the close of this path, we arrive not at an answer, but at a recognition. The work of this journey was never to build you into something better, but to dismantle all the scaffolding that hid your original magnificence. Imagine a master sculptor who is given a rough, shapeless block of stone. He does not add clay or plaster to it. He does not try to create a new form from the outside. His work is one of pure subtraction. With each tap of the chisel, he chips away a piece that does not belong. He removes the superfluous, the extraneous, the part of the stone that is not the statue. He is not creating the masterpiece. He is revealing it. This has been our work together. Every fear you faced, every story you released, every moment you sat in the stillness was a tap of the chisel, chipping away the stone of illusion. The sculptor has not created a new statue. He has simply revealed the one that was always waiting inside. That masterpiece has always been there. That masterpiece is you. Let this understanding settle into the very marrow of your bones. This journey was not a battle to be won, but a truth to be surrendered to. This was not a summit to be conquered, but a home to be returned to. Let go of any lingering idea that you are on an endless, striving path of self-improvement. You are not a project to be fixed. The higher self is not a future version of you that you must work tirelessly to attain. It is the timeless, unchanging truth of you right now. It was the silent awareness that watched you suffer. It was the quiet strength that carried you through your darkest nights. It was the persistent whisper that urged you to begin this journey in the first place. It was never gone. It was only obscured by the dust of forgetting, by the noise of the world, by the weight of a life lived for others. The journey was simply the process of wiping away that dust. And so, the waiting is over. Not because your higher self has finally arrived, but because you have finally remembered that it never left. It is not an abstract concept. It is the most intimate reality of your being. It is the awareness hearing these words right now. It is the silent, spacious gap between your thoughts. It is the deep, unshakable stillness in the center of your heart. You are not broken. You are not lost. You are simply remembering. Wake up.